hit subscribe.
YouTube subscribers. Global recognition.
Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Dennis Spurling. Y'all got me with my button down. Hold on a minute. I don't want y'all to see all my masculinity up in here. Anyway, what's up, Mr. 43TX? Shout out to you, man. You always the first one in here. I need to give out some more wrenches, man. I got to get some more wrench mob people up here. I know we're here a little late in the evening, but this is something that I wanted to talk about, and that's IShowSpeed. You guys who don't know who IShowSpeed, I know many of y'all probably don't know who IShowSpeed is. He's out of our age range, but he's a cool young brother. He has a lot of, he's 50 million followers on YouTube. And, you know, I don't know a whole lot about him other than, I'd seen him off, being in YouTube. We see folks all the time just on the algorithm. And I know he's very popular, and he's a young brother from his real name actually is, what's this young brother's real name? His real name is, let me see what his real name is. I saw it earlier, but he is a young brother that went to Africa, and he traveled all across the different continents, and I was very happy to see him do that. And the thing is, when he got to North Africa, right? When he got to North Africa, his name is Darren Jason Watkins, and he just turned 25 years old, okay? This brother is from, where is he from? He's from, they call it a YouTube personality. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to everybody in Cincinnati. And, I like what he does. He's the son of Darren Watkins Sr., a content creator. And actually his mother is Ghanaian, so she's from Ghana. And, he's got brothers and sisters, or at least a brother, I should say. And, he, on his parental line, he's the grandson of Harold Watkins, who became the first African-American fire chief from Detroit Fire Department. Okay? But, I like the little brother stuff, man. He keeps it positive. I really like what he's doing, And, of course, I've been following the trip off and on. I think, who hasn't? I mean, the young man has 50 million followers, so you're going to see it, okay? But the reason I'm here is because of his treatment that he received in North Africa. And the reason I wanted to come back and talk to about it is because, man, I just talked about this. I just sat up here and talked about this the other day, and it's like, I need to address this right now. So what we're going to do is take a quick break. In a few minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to get this thing cracking. I need you guys to hit the #1 button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Of course, I have a few videos for you to look at, as always. And we're going to take the opportunity to kind of dissect this. What I'm going to do ahead of time now is I'm going to open up the chat room because I want to hear what you all have to say. Anybody's welcome to come in. Let's come in early because I don't want to be here all night. And we're going to talk about what we've been doing here on this page and whether or not you guys like the format. Make sure you hit the #1 button. So again, the link is in the chat room. Come in early. Let's chop it up. It's not going to be I hope it's not 1,000 people in here tonight, but I did actually have to increase my system because with so many people, I'm not even allowing, it doesn't even let everybody come in. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back, and then we're going to get this show on the road. You guys hit the #1 button. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Again, the link is in the chat room. I love to hear what you guys have to say, a little feedback from what we've been doing here. Again, this is Uncle D. I appreciate you guys, and I will be right back, and we're going to get this thing rolling, okay? What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D. People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You were tuned in to Uncle D. D's Black Man Talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. Lizard King here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Turn it Spurling, this ain't Furling, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shootin', give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you've been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you've been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Floby and cut your own damn hair from now on.
My name is Dennis Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas. My mandate is to be an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. And I want to make sure that the issues confronting black men are defended, protected, enunciated, spoke upon by black men who have a vested interest in the black community. And so my draw to the Black Manosphere, or YouTube in general, to use my voice, my wisdom, my experience, was solely because black men weren't being heard. But they're hearing us now. They're hearing us as to our issues related to modern relationships, politics, education, finance, and so many other things. And I'm extremely proud of these gentlemen. I'm extremely proud of the people who put this together. It is a wonderful event, and I look forward to attending in the years to come. Hey man, I do what I do.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. I appreciate you guys hanging in here with me. As you know, my name is Dennis Spurling, and this is the Dennis Spurling podcast, and I want to thank everybody for being here today. IShowSpeed. One of the most recognized, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't cheat me on my subscriptions. As a matter of fact, let me make sure I drive that point home. We got to make, because we lost like 30 people. We lost 30 people. I can't believe that. YouTube and I don't have the best relationship. We are definitely not friends. But either way, I enjoy using this medium, but I need you guys to help me by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Again, the link is in the chat room. I'd love to hear from you guys. I want to hear what y'all have to say about this subject. But let's go ahead and get down to business. So, this young brother, his name is IShowSpeed. He's one of the most recognizable young black Americans on the planet. He embarked on what he called a Speed Does Africa. Okay? Speed Does Africa tour, and it began in December 29th, 2025, and he went to 20 different countries. Isn't that amazing? I love to see young black men traveling around 20 different countries. Southern Africa, he went to West Africa, East Africa, North Africa. He passed 50 million subscribers during the tour. He celebrated his 21st birthday in Nigeria. Plenty of crowds gathered. You know, and you know, he went to 20 countries. You know, he was there for 28 days. And that's just amazing. Again, you know, his mother is from Ghana. His father and family is from Detroit. He went to Angola, he went to Nigeria, he went to Botswana, he was embraced. They welcomed him, they celebrated him as the son of the diaspora, which is a great welcome. Most Black Americans don't get that. But, you know, then something changed. And what changed was when he reached North Africa. Remember we talked about North Africa? The whole tone shifted. And it happened at, they call it a football match, but what they're saying is a soccer match. Okay? It was live streamed. It was an African country versus those West Africans. And footage shows water bottles being thrown at this black man, young black man, objects being hurled at him, hostile chanting. You know, he had to leave the stadium early. You know, and online clips began to circulate showing what happened. You know, and whatever you think, they weren't throwing bottles at him because he was an American. They were throwing bottles at him because he was black. Okay? And, you know, what many viewers interpret as racialized hostility was clear. And now we need to pause because remember, this is the same continent, the same young man, same camera crew, different reception, right? And why? See? Because it's not random. That is historical. You can't understand that contrast unless you understand that Africa is now not one civilization block. North Africa has a different historical trajectory than sub-Saharan Africa. And again, from the 7th century onward, North Africa was absorbed into an expanding Islamic empire. Those empires built trans-Saharan trade networks. Those networks included gold, salt, but the main thing was human beings, okay? So we talked about this, you know, we talked about this for over 1,000 years, long before Columbus. Millions of Africans were transported north and east through the slave systems operating across the Sahara and the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. And see, that history matters because, you know, where long-term systems and hierarchy exist, cultural residue remains. And so the color stratification did not begin with the American slavery system. Anti-black hierarchies did not originate in Mississippi. See, they're older than that in the United States. In parts of North Africa, that social stratification historically distinguished between Arab, Berber, and Black African populations. Terms for slave in classical Arabic, Abib, right, became racially coded over time. And in certain regions, that's documented scholarship. Okay, that's not something I made up. That's not internet rumor. And so when a very brown, dark-skinned brother, Black American young man walks into certain spaces, he can feel the temperature. Okay, and it may not be about, you know, anything else other than the color of his skin. And Black Americans, particularly those who travel, are now encountering global, or what should I say, a global reality that many were never taught. Anti-Blackness is not exclusively an American thing. It's global, it's layered, it's older than America. And so when IShowSpeed celebrated in Lagos and then pelted with objects in Algiers, that contrast deserves analysis, not denial. Because the question is not why they are racist. The question is, why were you not taught that racial hierarchy wasn't invented in Europe? See? And this doesn't mean every Algerian is racist. It doesn't mean that every North African is anti-Black. However, it does mean that it's culturally racist. So we're going to dig into that for a minute. Now, I got a video for you I want to share. You guys hit the #1 button, and then we're going to go over some facts, and then we're going to get down to it. You guys, if you appreciate what I'm doing here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I don't ask you much. And again, if you learn something, I should earn something. And again, the chat room is open. Anybody wants to come in and chop it up with me, give me their thoughts on it. I know you guys are saying, you guys probably know this young brother better than I do. Again, I'm happy he's traveling. I'm happy he's going around seeing the world, and I'm happy he's taking all these other young people who look up to him with him. You see what I'm saying? Because, you know, again, the young brother had a great time, and I'm happy for him, and I was happy to see that. And it was just unfortunate that he had to come face to face with that overt cultural racism. And that's kind of the thing I wanted to kind of talk about, because we just had this conversation. Now, I'm gonna play this video from another content creator. I'm gonna let y'all check it out.
Angola,
right, y'all hit the number one
Kenya,
button if you can hear him.
Ethiopia. With over 50 million YouTube subscribers, globally recognized and celebrated influencer Darren Jason Watkins Jr., aka IShowSpeed, chose to travel across Africa. Speed visited Nigeria, Angola, Kenya, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Mozambique, South Africa, and more. He was embraced everywhere. Young African boys.
Look, man, let me tell you something. I know I go hard on the Africans and I go hard on the Caribbeans, but that has a lot to do with the fact that I'm disappointed in them. Okay? And let me just be real honest with you. I'm very disappointed in Africans. I'm disappointed in your anti-foundational Black American rhetoric. I'm disappointed in the Caribbeans, especially because we share the same transatlantic slave experience. That's horrible for you all to call yourselves looking down on us. And I think I can speak on behalf of not all, because I don't want to speak on behalf of all Black Americans, but I think we're all a bit disappointed in you all. And that's why we're delineating. Basically, okay, y'all don't want to be cool with us. You don't want to be our brother and sister. Fine. It's been 60 years. You've had plenty of chances. We'll go ahead and delineate. Somebody type delineate in the chat room. You know, that being the case, I enjoy seeing this young brother over in Africa, okay, with all those beautiful Black people just being surrounded. I mean, this is a life-changing experience for anybody. I love seeing that, okay? I truly do. I mean, it's just wonderful seeing this young Black man out here with all these beautiful Black people, man. It's just a wonderful, but that's because I love being Black. I love being a Black man, okay? Now, we'll go ahead and let the brother finish. And again,
were in tears as they rushed to hug him. Speed was celebrated and embraced across East, West, and Southern Africa. But at times, his treatment in Arab Islamic North Africa, Egypt, Morocco, and especially Algeria was very different. He saw up close and personal the hatred and racism towards Black Africans, including African Americans. In the streets, Speed was met with racial slurs and other derogatory phrases.
So he just walking down the street and they hitting him with Habib and Jareer. You understand what I'm saying? I want y'all to understand that, okay?
He attended a soccer match between Nigeria and Algeria, AFCON. Speed and his team were met with more racial slurs and physical objects were thrown at them.
I mean, the brother on his face looked like, what's going on? He like, what's going on? I think that innocence look, that's what makes him sell, you know what I mean?
The atmosphere got so tense, they had to leave early, needing extra security to do so. Shout out to Senegal for winning the championship. Yes, sports fans around the world can get loud and violent. But Speed was attacked as a Black man in a land.
I want you to understand that. He's in Africa, okay? The brother is in Africa, and you think anywhere a Black man should be safe, it should be Africa, right? If anywhere a Black man wouldn't experience racism, it should be Africa. But, you know, here you have it, okay? Here you have it. Let's keep listening to the brother.
Where Black men and women are bought and sold. Imagine how viral these videos would be if this were Europe, and the people shouting were Portuguese, English, or French, and they still had Black slaves, like they do in Algeria, Mauritania, Libya, Qatar, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, and all throughout the Arab or Islamic world. Without even trying to do so, IShowSpeed has brought the Arab enslavement of Africans to a younger generation.
The Arab enslavement of Africa to a young generation. Let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. Most of the older generation doesn't know anything about the Arab slave trade. Tell the truth. Y'all don't even know anything about it. most of you all didn't know how extensive it was until we had that conversation the other day because you follow my page. But largely, you didn't even know, you know? So, I mean, you know, I don't think it's that they're bringing it to them. They're introducing them to something that they never knew at all, you know? But let's let this gentleman finish speaking.
Bombarded with media and government lies and propaganda. The so-called Free Palestine movement has always sought to exploit black communities to further the cause of hatred for Israel and the Jewish people. Meanwhile, some of the same people who claim allyship with black people hate and enslave those same black people.
You see how they clearly treat IShowSpeed. You see that. I dealt with that. Only when I spoke to like the people, because all y'all did was gaslight and try to tell me, oh, it's just your experience. Don't be pigeonholed by your experience. Why aren't you speaking up about black women being sold in these nasty countries, including your own, including Dubai, including Kuwait?
Somebody type Dubai in the chat room. Y'all keep going over. I never wanted to go to Dubai. I've heard people say, yeah, let's go to Dubai. I have never had any inclination to go to Dubai, largely because I know the history of Dubai and I know where it's located and I know about how black people are treated and how the black people in Dubai are treated. And so I've never had any desire to go there. But, you know, a lot of folks like to go. They want to go see the tall buildings. And, you know, yeah, somebody type Dubai in the chat room. You all want to go over there and see the tall buildings. And, you know, you want to pretend like you're an Arab sheik. They don't like you. They don't want you over there. They do not want you over there. Okay? You go over there if you want to. Go on over there if you want to. But that's just not something I've ever been interested in doing. And largely because I know the history. Now, again, I appreciate folks traveling. I want to see people travel. I think that's one of the best things you can do as a person, especially if you're single, is to travel and see what the world has to offer. But for foundational Black Americans, you know, we always talk about, you know, how racist America is, and then you run across a place where they have straight up cultural racism. And see, and we're going to kind of dig in that to a little bit tonight. Cultural racism is different than an individual being racist. It's different than, you know, it's embedded in the culture. Like it is, this is who they are, okay? And so when you're dealing with people who are culturally racist, it's like, man, this is a whole nother level of the game. We'll go ahead and let this young lady finish speaking.
Qatar, Oman.
Speed is no Zionist.
Free Palestine, man.
But that's actually what makes his experience in Algeria even more powerful. Many are waking up, shaking off decades of deception. And it's not Hasbara or any kind of Israeli initiative responsible for the shaking. No, it's those who hate Jews and Africans. Those who hate Israel and Africa speaking for themselves. May they continue to speak loudly.
Well, all right. Shout out to that content creator. Now, again, I've put the link in the chat room. Anybody who wants to come in and just chop it up with me for a minute about this, I'll put that in there earlier because I'd like to hear what you all have been learning here with me. Has it been effective? Now that you see, like, it's still real over there. Like, I didn't make stuff up, you know, because this very popular YouTuber went to Africa and the experience he had in North Africa was totally different than what he dealt with in sub-Saharan Africa. I think we can have a decent conversation about this. Now, I'm going to get back to some things that I was talking about the other day, and you guys just hang in there with me. And if you learn something, I should earn something. But again, tonight, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I actually need about, let me see, I'll let you guys know in a minute, but close to getting my next milestone, which is 93,000. So I'd appreciate if you guys would help me get there. Now, again, let's give a brief history because that's what we like to do. So beginning in the 7th century, following the death of the great prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, that was in 632 CE, okay? And that stands for Common Era, okay? the same thing as AD. Okay, but the Arab Muslim armies basically felt that they had a mandate from God to go take over the lands of the non-believers, so that they could spread their faith to them, right, in exchange for gold and wealth and et cetera, et cetera. It sounds familiar, I'm sure, because that's the same thing that the Pope said in many of their edicts. They were spreading Jesus around the world to the savages. So bottom line is Arab armies expanded and they moved. I mean, for 200 years, they moved. They moved out of the Arabian Peninsula. And within decades, they moved across Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. Those are the northern parts of Africa. And they displaced or they absorbed Byzantine and other local Berber authority. Okay, and so by 711, the year 711, Muslim forces had crossed into Iberia, which is what we refer to as Spain or Portugal. For you all who don't know, the Iberian Peninsula is referred to as that's where the countries of Spain and Portugal are, and so that's what they mean when they say Iberia. Okay, and this the Moors invaded. So keep that in mind. This is why this is important history that you should know. Now, these conquests, they weren't just about religion. Okay, they were political, they were economic, meaning they went for the money. Somebody said bag chaser. They went to get the bag, and also imperial expansions that integrated North Africa into a growing Islamic caliphate. Okay, and we'll just for the lack of a better word, we'll just call that the takeover. They're taking over land. Okay, that's what. And I don't want to go too deep into that because, again, I'm not here to talk about people's religion at all. I'm just here to kind of explain what's happening. So an Islamic caliphate means an Islamic land takeover. And as Muslim rule consolidated across North Africa, the region became a central artery in what historians call, and what we talked about the other day, the trans-Saharan slave trade. Now, for all my good students, okay, right, if you want a gold star from Uncle D, how many Africans were transported across the Sahara? What's the estimate? What's the estimate? It's I'll give you a hint, it's less than 20 million, but it's more than 10 million. So what's the answer that we talked about the other day? Okay, I know this feels real professorial here. 18 million Africans. There was some European visitors, and they went to the desert where these folks had been transported over, 1,300 years. And they said the bones look like carpet. You could walk on the skulls and the bones. You could hardly walk anywhere and not see bones. That's how many bodies were there. People that will never know who their names are, will never know who they were, will never know anything about them because they just disappeared, never to be seen again. And remember, here in the United States and South America and Central America, there are remnants of the transatlantic slave trade, but other than a few pockets here and there is no remnants of what happened to the people because there was a lot of castration. Almost 80 to 90% of the African men were castrated, and the African women were bred out. They were basically graped and bred out. So, those people were integrated into those societies. Their children didn't belong to them. And so they just become part of that society. So I want you to think about that. But here's the thing. What we do understand is that as a practical matter, the transatlantic slave trade connected West, Central West Central Africa to North Africa, and the broader Middle East through caravan networks crossing the Sahara Desert. And so enslaved Africans were transported. They went north. There were markets in cities like Cairo and Tripoli and Tunisia and Zanzibar. They took gold and ivory and other goods that moved in the opposite direction. And unlike the Atlantic slave trade, which was largely maritime and concentrated between the 16th and 19th century, which is only 300 years, and of course, any time is a long time, but the Arab slave trade started in the 7th century. It started in the 7th century. I want you to think about that. Okay, it's 2026. And it just ended allegedly it just ended about 100 years ago. But the bottom line is this went on for 1,300 years. 1,300 years, marching people across the desert, 1,000 miles. I want you to think about that. Think about the ramifications of that. What's really... think about that, okay? Let me see.
IShowSpeed is probably one of the most dangerous black men in the world right now. And not for the reason you think. Dangerous because he's dismantling
you guys
IShowSpeed is on a tour of Africa, and I have thoughts.
hang in there for a minute.
On social media, black Americans that are talking about relocating to African nation.
All right, yeah, so it went on from the 7th century on, and that's just insane. Okay, 1,300 years. So again, as I said, we might need to slip these Europeans a note. At least maybe we're not ready to apologize for blaming them for slavery and racism, because apparently the Arabs are the ones that started it, or at least African slavery. But we may want to, have an internal memo circulated that this information is getting out there. So we're going to have to, I would say, mildly change our rhetoric. Otherwise, those Europeans might call us out on it. But, enslavement was permitted under, legal conditions, particularly involving non-Muslims. So all you had to do to deserve to be a slave was be a non-Muslim. Now, they'll say prisoners of war, but merely being a non-Muslim, and in many cases not being what they call not being an authentic Muslim, Orthodox, I guess you would say, because so there's a lot of, and I don't want to deviate too far from the subject, but who's familiar with African spiritual beliefs? Who's the African spiritual beliefs? Oshun, Ogun, Alumore, who else? All the different African deities, the different stories. You guys familiar with that? Who's familiar with that? Okay, don't run off. We're not going to start talking about witchcraft or anything like that. Don't run away. But are you guys familiar with that? Okay, so what you need to understand is, somebody said Yoruba tradition. What you need to understand is this. Those beliefs were what the country people believed, if you will. Okay? Now, we often talk about the richest man in the world, okay? Mansa Musa. He was a Muslim, and as you recall, he made his pilgrimage in the early 14th century from West Africa, Mali, to Mecca. And he brought with him thousands of slaves and a huge caravan, and I believe it took a year or 2 years to get over there. And he gave out so much gold on the way that he destabilized the economies of places like Egypt. And but again, when he came back, he wanted to instill a more proper form of Islam. Okay, he wanted to instill a more orthodox Islam. So he brought scholars back with him. Because the type of they were practicing country Islam. Shout out to Eskimo Black. They were practicing country Islam, and so the people who were practicing it, let me just say it like this: Islam was for the sophisticated rich people who lived in the cities, even in West Africa. The country people still maintain their, shout out to Eskimo Black, the country people still maintain their country people beliefs. So they weren't quite Muslim enough. So when the slave traders came, keep in mind, the Muslim scholars ran West Africa and they were calling the shots. And they were saying, hey, initially, this was the rule. You can't take Muslim slaves, but we'll let you take non-Muslims and these country Muslims, these black people who don't quite do Islam right. Okay, they still have their native beliefs and whatnot. And this is what the Muslim scholar said. And this is how you had a lot of black people who weren't supposed to, who were allegedly Muslim, who were Muslim and were still kidnapped and put on the boats and sent to the Western world because they weren't quite Muslim enough. Okay, they practiced, they were supposed to be Catholic and they were out there practice being Protestants. So it's like, no, we only save it. You ain't believing in the right kind of Jesus. So I want you to keep that in mind. So again, when they say enslavement was permitted under certain legal conditions, particularly involving prisoners of war and non-Muslim populations, there should be a caveat that says yes, and also Muslims that were perceived to be not orthodox. Okay, again, you know how country people are. They do kind of do their own thing, right? But and the same thing goes for religion. So this is kind of how that went. So that's why they were able to take in so many black people who were Muslim or believed in these their spiritual beliefs and whatnot. But either way, over the time, this framework allowed for enslavement of large numbers of sub-Saharan Africans, and when we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, many of them were used as maids and domestic servants, laborers, soldiers, and concubines. Okay, that's what they used black bodies for, to do the work. And a few rose to some positions of influence, some of them such as the military slave class known as the Mamluks, but the overwhelming majority lived and died in bondage. Again, it was castration of male slaves, especially those destined for service in elite households. It was widely practiced. I think we talked about it. 80 to 90% of those men who were trafficked from Africa to the east were castrated. 80 to 90%. We're talking about millions and millions of men. Okay, and it was widely practiced in certain regions, and it contributed to lower population retention among, black people. Okay, compared to the Atlantic system, where they wanted us to breed, they tired shipping people over there. And so the conquest of North Africa also reshaped the ethnic and cultural landscape of the region. And I'm gonna call it the Arabization and Islamization gradually just transformed those societies, which were Berber and Christian, or and while conversion to Islam it didn't always guarantee immediate or forced, it wasn't necessarily safe because of that. Okay, but over generations, Arabic became the dominant language. Islamic identity became intertwined with state power, just like Christianity is entwined with what we have here in the United States. That's why you got people calling this a Christian country. And that transition facilitated deeper integration into the slave trade. Shout out to Black by Design. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you we got 2 people who contributed to the super chat. And, but anyway, the scale of the Arab slave trade, it's still up for debate, but we get what happened. Millions of people, up to 18 million, marched across the Sahara, sometimes 120-degree weather, okay, shipped across the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, and it was done for 1,300 years, okay? Again, as I said, unlike the transatlantic slave trade, where you got 45 million black people, we looking at us, we know we here, we know we came from. They just disappeared over there, okay? And so the historical record confirms that North Africa functions as both a destination and a transit hub for enslaved Africans for centuries. And understand that Arab conquest in North Africa and the development of the transatlantic sub-Saharan slave trade, it provides a fuller context for the history of slavery on the African continent. It didn't start with the Europeans, despite what we want to say, okay? And that's something we just need to address. The original colonizers was not the white man. The original colonizers was the Arab, Muslim, okay? And that's just something that we just gonna have to accept. Now, I know that's not popular because, you know, as I told you all before, you've been trained, you know, you've been trained to be a POC lover. You all love the POC, okay? You are all, there's absolutely no way you're supposed to say, oh no, you know, that's a POC, they love us. And now you're learning, right? You're learning the truth right here with Uncle D, okay? Just because you're a POC doesn't mean that they care about you. You understand? I want you to just keep that in mind, family. And so you got to be mindful of your loyalties. Be mindful of, you know, just because a person is quote unquote melanated, they're not black. And I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying, and I want you all to be mindful of that. And that's kind of why I've been sending out these warnings. All these people aren't your friends, and recognizing the complexity, it doesn't diminish, you know, it doesn't, you know, I know y'all have individual friends and so on and so forth. I get that, but we still have to deal with the truth. We can't run away from the truth because, you know, you and your little Arab homeboy or your Muslim friends that you cool with, and, you know, y'all got, you know, y'all got a bond. We still can't ignore the cultural, and shout out to Black by Design, we still can't ignore the cultural racism that these folk have because of their ties to Islam, okay? They know their history. You just don't know their history. And because you don't know their history, you think it's all good, and it's not, all right? It's not, and, you know, we're not gonna be able to get around that. Now, I have another few, some more videos I'd like y'all to check out. If you will, hit the #1 button as we let them play, all right? And let me know you can hear them when they come through, okay? This is the first one. You all know this gentleman. His name is Joffrey. I forget his name. I forget the brother. Hit the #1.
IShowSpeed is one of the baddest streamers on social media. He's dope as hell. You know what I love about Speed is that he does like physical challenges from flips to sprinting. He even beat, I think, what's his name? What was it, Ashton Hall? Too slow. Stop playing with me, dude. He kind of beat him in that sprint, right? So one thing I love about Speed is he takes challenges, man, physical challenges, and he's curious.
He can do that because he's young. He's 21. I bet you won't get out there and do it. I ain't doing it. He just turned 21. He's supposed to be taking physical challenges, man. But anyway, let's go.
About everything, but what I love about him is his international curiosity. He's been to China, Europe. He goes all over the.
Well, his mama's from Ghana. Okay, I'm sure his daddy clearly has some international curiosity too, because his mama's from Ghana. Okay, he from Detroit. Daddy from Detroit, and his mama is from. Let me be specific. His mama is from Africa, specifically. Let me double check. Ghanaian, okay? That's why he had that international. He probably went over there and got him some of that Guyanese, that motherland. That's what he went over there and got some, okay? Let's keep looking at the brother. Go ahead.
Place. Now he's doing his African tour, and I really love it even more. You know why? Because everybody looks like him, you know? And I can see when he was in like Europe, there was a lot of like racial bullshit. You know, of course they were accepting, but you know, Europeans, they can't help but say some stupid shit about black people. You know, they can't help it. It's just in you. Yeah, I know you guys are gonna be mad, but you know how I know you're gonna be mad? Because you're gonna say some stupid shit on my comments. But it's the truth. He looks so comfortable in Africa, and because you know you're with your people, man. Regardless of what you may say about it, Black Americans, Africans, Caribbeans, Afro Latinos.
And again, that's a beautiful thing. You know, I'm not here, and I know it's people that, you know, I don't hate my black brothers and sisters from the motherland. I'm just disappointed in you all. And I think, again, I think I can speak on behalf of a large number of black people. When we found out you all call us stray cats and Jareers and y'all tease us because of our history, it definitely was shocking because this is not something that we thought. We thought it was all good. We were happy y'all over here. We thought y'all was going to come over. We was going to get some, you know, some. We thought y'all were bringing those kings and queens over here that we heard about in the 80s and 90s. And y'all just brought some scammers and goddamn scammers over here. That's what y'all brought. I'm like, damn, and intra-racist. That wasn't cool, man. So, yeah, but, yeah, I'm happy to see. I'm so love to see this young brother out there smiling. It's beautiful, man. Let's keep listening to this.
Black folks are black folks. We're family. We are family because a lot of us all look like each other. Sometimes we don't know where we're from until we say something. Mm-hmm. So it's not an accident because Africans, and guess what? They had a whole scientific test on the European and the African. And the European's genetic makeup is 97% human, 3% Neanderthal. And the African is 100% human. So those are the results. Of course you feel at home because Africans, no matter all the atrocities that African people, black people have felt in the world, we're very forgiving. If we judge you by your content of character, yeah.
Hold on a minute, brother. What about the Boko Haram? They don't seem very forgiving. Okay, you might be putting a little extra. What's this brother's name? I know he's a comedian. What's his name? You putting a little extra on it. Cause see, remember, you got to understand something. He been getting these FBA hits probably about 4 or 5 years now. And now he like, see, one of y'all did go over there and got treated well. So all that stuff these FBAs is saying online is just false. Godfrey, that's his name, man. That's what he so he's like, see, you know, that's what he's trying to see. See, told y'all. I know what you're saying, brother. I know, but we still watching y'all. We still watching y'all. Okay? We looking like that. Mm-hmm. You know how when your granddaddy, when you walk in the house like that, and he start blinking at you, what you been doing? What you been doing out there in them streets, huh? We still watching y'all. We the whole Black American, shout out to Faquan, the whole Black American family is watching y'all. Oh, we are Katas, huh? Oh, that's what we are, huh? So yeah, so he happy. Godfrey is happy. Somebody type God. Y'all go over to Godfrey's page and tell him Uncle D said I want him to come over here and talk to us about. Tell him I want to talk to him about some African and foundational Black American business. Tell him to come over here. We need to have a committee meeting. But shout out to my girl Patricia Hightower. Let's go ahead and get this thing going.
I have white friends, you know. Yeah, I have white friends. And you know why?
I bet you do have white
cool with them because of their character. I don't, because a lot of times you're going to be like, Godfrey, you just hate white people. I don't like people who do bad shit. I don't like anybody that does bad shit. But unfortunately, a lot of the shit you do, a lot of people that do the bad shit to black people are usually white. That's all I'm saying. But when he was in China, they were making...
No, it was but it was the Arab people in Africa. It was the Arab people. Okay, brother, and look, it's not just white people that do bad stuff to black people. Okay, I mean, see, I'm just explaining y'all something. Basically, what I'm seeing is look to me. It looks to me like the Arabs got everybody beat when it comes to anti-black racism. Hell, matter of fact, the Arabs had white slaves. You see what I'm saying? The Arabs had white slaves. So, you know, but they shipped 18 million black people, okay? 18 million black people were shipped, walked across the Sahara Desert, okay, for 1,300 years, okay? So it's not just white people, okay? White people got in on it, but, you know, but anyway, let's let the brother finish.
Fun of them too. Asians do the same, but Asians, I'm sorry to say this, but you kind of got the same genetic makeup as Europeans. And I have Asian friends too. I have friends from every walk.
That's a little different because Neanderthals Okay, so what he's talking about is Neanderthal and Denisovians. Okay, Denisovians were a hominid bipedal species, and Neanderthals were hominid bipedal species. And at some point in the evolution, and I don't want to offend my Christian friends, but at some point in the evolution of what we call Homo sapiens sapiens, we broke off, and there was a branch that went east to Asia and steppes, and then there's another that went west to what we call Europe or whatever, Western Europe. And the one that went east was called the Denisovians, and the one that went west was called the Neanderthals. Now, here's the thing you have to understand about genetics, that you can still interbreed with a family tree member up until about 500,000 years removed. That's why Neanderthals and Denisovians and Homo sapiens sapiens, which is what sub-Saharan Africans are, can still interbreed, because we have a common ancestor 500,000 years ago, okay? Now that's some basics in genetics. Don't mess around, and you can Google it yourself, but that's it. But so he's just basically saying that they're sub-Saharan, but Neanderthals, they survived. Denisovians survived. They were a successful species on this planet. They were bipedal. They were hominids. We have a common ancestor. Okay, so let's not get too far off into the woods. I know you guys did not come here for a genetics class, but Uncle D got it all. Let's keep it pushing. It's the number one light.
Because they have good character. Most of the time we're judged by our color, which is sad. But when I was in Nigeria visiting my relatives a year and a half ago, I had no stress for 2 weeks. You know why? Because everybody looked like me. I didn't see a white person for maybe 10 days. And I didn't feel stressed out. I felt like I belonged, no matter if I went into a cafe or a hotel. It didn't feel like, what are they doing here? Because a lot of times you feel that way as a person.
Bro, it's a lot of white people down there. Matter of fact, they tell black folks don't go to Africa. White people go all the time. Like, don't be out here making up stuff. Let's keep listening.
A black person, you feel like you walk into a hotel and white folks always look at you like you don't belong. It's just what it is. Just hold yourself accountable.
I don't feel that way. I go wherever I go, I belong. And that's kind of how I feel. That's the way I was raised. So, people can think what they want as long as they keep it out of my face. I don't care what you think. But either way, let's keep listening.
For that speed, keep doing what you're doing. Africa, thank you for embracing them. And all of this propaganda about us hating each other is bullshit.
No, it's not about us hating each other. Black folk wasn't even thinking about Africans like that. Godfrey. This is one way. This is a one-way street. Godfrey, talk about we hate each other. Why has got to be a we? Foundation of Black Americans never hated Africans. All the worst y'all can say, we called y'all some African booty scratchers back in the 60s. Everybody got caught. Hell, I was an African booty scratcher. Okay? It doesn't matter. Black kids talk about everybody. Matter of fact, you might get cussed out by your mama every morning before you go to school and she still love you. How many of y'all, the first person to call you a foul name or a racial epithet was your mama? Right? I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, some of these ladies can tell you they've been called everything but the child of God by mama and grandmama. So that's just what we do over here. But it's never been hate. You all the ones that came over here talking about we're not Africans and stuff like that. But again, I'm happy to see IShowSpeed over there. I'm gonna let
a small amount of people move on to the next video. It's just they like to blow shit up because they want to keep us all divided. And
it's not y'all want to keep us divided. Y'all want to keep, shout out to Faquan, y'all want to keep us divided, okay?
Proving that, man, we are the same. We are family, man. And I hope that this can be for the whole human family. And when you see a black person, enough with the racist bullshit. You can't help it, can you? When you see some fly.
We're not the same, Godfrey. You know it. You know it. Tell the truth.
You can't help it. And I think most of the times when you're making fun of black folks, it's because of insecurity. It's because of jealousy. Because you don't even know these black folks, and you just make up that you learned on TV, but then half of you are copying.
They ain't learn on TV. They learned it from their uncles and granddaddies and grandmamas. They got that in the house. Okay, they didn't learn that on TV. That's passed down. But I'm gonna let you keep going, brother. Go ahead.
The black culture all got they at the same time making fun of them. So there's a hatred and a jealousy and an insecurity, and that's where that comes from. That's another one for you. I'll see you later.
Oh, Godfrey doing his best to keep his little. See, a lot of these Africans, they are suffering now because, you know, Black Americans have separated ourselves, and because of that separation, you know, they not quite able to sell the comedy shows anymore. You understand what I'm saying? But let's look at another video. Y'all hitting the shout out to my man Fake One. We got 5 super chats.
And I have thoughts. I've been seeing on threads and on social media Black Americans that are talking about relocating to African nations. If you have a lot of money to blow and you have connections in these nations and you have a plan, okay, more power to you. But if you think that you're gonna show up to Africa and get McDonald's, AAA, Wingstop, and your nails done every single week, think again. There is definitely a way to thrive on the continent, but you can't step into it romantic.
Now, look. Let's be honest. What she trying to say is, hey, look, they don't have indoor plumbing everywhere, okay, and they don't have roads, okay. Remember what just happened to that heavyweight boxer? He lost his 2 friends / training partners because the roads were bad, and they just went off the road, okay. So I want you to keep that in mind. That's what this lady's trying to tell you. Anthony Joshua, that's right. Okay?
Romanticizing it and completely blind to the realities that you'll experience once you're there. I love IShowSpeed's live streams because it gives us a taste of what being in Africa really is like. However, remember that you're seeing it through the lens of a millionaire and an
No, you're seeing it through the lens of a 21-year-old young man. Okay, that's who you seeing it through. Somebody said no ambulance. You seeing it through the. Yeah, I'm sure. Look at him. Look at the boy right there. Look. Let me put this up on the screen. Look. Up in a little room like that with all them ladies up in there smiling at you with real hair. You'd be happy too, wouldn't you be happy if you was in that room? All them pretty girls rubbing on you like that. Some of y'all right now like, let me go ahead and make me a trip. They ain't gonna rub you like that, okay? You don't have $1 million, okay? You don't have $1 million and you don't have 50 million followers, okay? But him right there, look at him. He about to be like an African war chief or something like that. He gonna have a bunch of babies. 21 years old, that's why it's a beautiful thing. I'm happy for him. It's beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. I wish more people would travel. I wish y'all would travel and see what the world has to offer. You know, I didn't start traveling until my mid-30s. I wish I had done it 15 years earlier, but you know, I was in school, lived in the ghetto, didn't have a passport. So, but it's a beautiful thing, man. Let's keep listening to the sister.
extremely famous person who's being treated VIP everywhere he goes.
Being treated VIP because he got that money. And he's got 50 million followers and everybody wants to show a good following. But you can still go over there and have your own good fun over there too, I'm sure. Okay, let's keep looking at some more videos. Y'all hit the #1 button.
He's probably one of the most dangerous black men in the world right now. And not for the reason you think. Dangerous because he's dismantling centuries of propaganda in 60-second clips. But
I didn't know Africa was such a beautiful country. They got cars, they got water, they got Wi-Fi.
They got water. Yeah, baby, they got water over there. They got cars. Man, they got cars and water. Yeah, they got water and cars. They do. They got air. They got fire, they got water, they got wind. You know that they got that over there too. Shout out to Black by Design. Yeah, our poor children, our poor babies just don't know anything. But yeah, they got some crime too, and they got Boko Haram, and they got some other stuff. Okay, but I'm happy that they seeing what's going on. I'm happy for the young people.
Wi-Fi.
It made us think Africa was such a poor country, bro.
Why are there cities and houses on the stream? Are you sure they just didn't secretly stream in Japan? Because they're supposed to live in mud huts with no technology.
See, and this is why I'm happy for the young people. See, let me share a story with y'all. I grew up in LA. I would come to Houston to see my daddy. And I spent a lot of time out here, and then I'll go back to LA. Shout out to Faquan. But I really didn't know. I knew my family. I knew the black people I went to school with, but I didn't really know any upper echelon, sophisticated black people. And it wasn't until I went to Grambling State University, which is a historically black college in North Louisiana, that I really was around a lot of young black people who were productive and doing well for themselves. And it really changed my perspective on black life in America, because until that was open, and you're gonna have a lot of people say HBCU education, but the thing is like, yeah, I hear you, but there's a lot of white colleges or predominantly white institutions that, they're not number one either. Okay, and the truth is, I run across people from Harvard and Yale, and they're very well spoken. Okay. But when it comes down to real life experience and common sense, they're not quite there, because they're overachievers. They look great on paper, but as far as human beings that you want to interact with, you probably would not necessarily want to be in a room full of people who went to Harvard and Yale. You probably like some people who went to a few schools that have a U at the back of them and a football team that's been ranked in the top 20. They're going to be more personable, more human beings, more friendly. But so, just saying HBCUs, the education, they're not ranked. Okay, whatever. All right. Because there's plenty of examples of people who went to HBCUs that did great for education. But setting that education aspect aside, what it does for a young black person when they go and they see beautiful black people, beautiful, intelligent young black people their age doing well for themselves, it changes their perspective on blackness in America and the world. It was at Grambling that I met most of the people that I know who were foundational black American. I met people from the Caribbean. I met people from the African continent, and we all were just there in North Louisiana. I remember in 1992, telling my age, 7,000 was the incoming freshman class. Imagine dumping 7,000 18-year-olds in North Louisiana with a college that already had like 3,000 or 4,000 people just right there up there in the middle. It was just a great time, and this is a good time. It was the 90s. So, man, I was there on the campus, and it was just beautiful. And my goodness, my first time visiting New Orleans, before I found out it was so dangerous, I'm like, this must be one of the most beautiful cities in the world. As you cross over the bridge, you see the Superdome, and then I happened to, then just walking in the French Quarters on Friday after I got there and going to the actual game, being inside the Superdome with all these beautiful black people, it truly changed my perspective on blackness. And attending an HBCU, attending Grambling at such a young age, it is why I fell in love with black people. And as a black man, you guys are like, what do you mean? It's why I love you now, because I know what you can be. I know who you are. You're around black professors, black teachers, young black people from all over America, whether we're talking about black people from the hood, black people from the upper echelon, the middle class, upper middle class, rich black people. You had sons and daughters of stars, sons and daughters of doctors, old money, new money. It was just beautiful. You understand what I'm saying? And so I can imagine, and I'll say this, and I'm gonna get back to the broadcast. A lot of black people from the East Coast and the West Coast, they ran out, they moved around all them white folk, and they forgot that their children need to be around black people so they understand what it is to be black. And so I find that a lot of the upper echelon black folks in California, Arizona, New York, New Jersey, they're sending their kids down south to go to school. You see what I'm saying? They're sending their kids to Southern University in Baton Rouge. They're sending them to Alcorn. They're sending them to Georgia to go to one of the schools in Atlanta. They're sending them all over the South to go to school so they'll see what blackness is, so they'll have pride. So you don't get a person like me who day in and day out goes to bat for black people without loving black people. And see, that's the difference between me and a lot of YouTubers. A lot of these people talk. A lot of these people say mean things because they truly don't like black people. If you hear folk talking bad about HBCUs, that just means they didn't go to one. So they probably never saw the grandiose scale of black intelligentsia. Because see, once you go to one HBCU, you basically have gone to all of them as far as other HBCU alumni are concerned. It doesn't matter that I went to Grambling. If I meet somebody who went to Alcorn, oh, you're going to get the job. If I'm a lawyer, and I've done this before, I got lawyers that work for me. Oh, you went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law? You went to Southern University School of Law in Baton Rouge? Yeah, come on, work for me. Let me hook you up with this case. So it's a nationwide thing. So imagine going to a school where you now have 100 different campuses around the country. And it doesn't matter that you went to a school in Arkansas, Alabama, or Mississippi, or up in Virginia. If you went to a HBCU, you good with me. And that's how it works. That's the kindred spirit that we have. And that's the love, that's the self-love that blossoms and develops when you have Black professors and Black teachers, and it's good for you. And you know, if it's good for white folk, white people go to PWIs, and it helps young white men and young white women develop a healthy respect for white culture. And I don't see why it should be any different for Black people. Now, you can talk about this education and that, but at the end of the day, we're all reading the same books. No professor can really teach you anything that you can't learn on your own. Most of you all have learned more from me about history in the past, I would say 6 weeks, than you learn in some of your classes for a year. So anyway, I can understand how IShowSpeed, when he went to Africa, how it probably fundamentally changed his perspective on Blackness. You see, the other thing is the young people that look up to him and that follow his page. This young man has 50 million followers. Imagine the effect that it's having on this young Black people. It's going to be hard for these white supremacist racists to convince these folk that we would be living in huts had we not been kidnapped and sold and brought to this country, when they are over there living in, they got nice cars, they got skyscrapers, they got beautiful homes. It's going to be hard. They're going to say, nah, that's not true, because if we were going to be living in huts, they'll be living in huts now, and they're not. Okay? So anyway, long-winded Uncle D. Let's get back to the broadcast. Y'all hit the #1 button.
Millions of Americans and Europeans are experiencing a complete psychological breakdown on social media. They're posting videos of themselves crying, actually crying. Some are angry, others are in shock. Many are sitting in stunned silence, staring at their screens, trying to process what they've just witnessed. What caused this mass crisis? IShowSpeed. Yes, IShowSpeed.
They didn't know that they had somewhere else they could possibly go. Okay? Now, again, Uncle D is the bad guy, right? Okay, y'all? Somebody type Uncle D is the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. Okay? But let me show you how much I really love you all. And I want this to be said. And y'all remember I had this conversation 20 years ago. 20 years from now, I'm okay with suing Africa if it means for reparations. And if I can get the threat that we will begin to seize oil and wealth and whatnot for the 800,000 people, the descendants who were taken after the transatlantic slave trade became illegal in 1808, for people that were stolen on ships like the Wanderer and the Clotilda, then guess what that is? That's leverage. And so then I can say, well, hey, you know what? President of Ghana and Nigeria, you've been sued, and we're looking at trying to get $3 trillion out of you guys. And that's going to basically, you're going to get treated like Haiti. Okay, we're going to take it, whether you want to give it to us or not. Okay, because we're in America and we can do what we want, and there's really nothing you can do about it. Or you can give us some land and you can cut through this red tape, and you can let my Black African brothers go back home, my brothers and sisters who want to go home. You can cut this red tape for them, or we're going to take your money. Now, some of you all have a problem fundamentally with me saying, oh, you're going to sue Africa? Yeah, I'm going to sue Africa so Black people can have somewhere else to go. Because as it is right now, the 45 million foundational Black Americans and the millions of Black people in the Caribbean don't have anywhere else to go if America takes a turn south, if you know what I mean. Where are you going to go? Who's home? Because see, the Africans can go home, the Europeans can go home, the Mexicans and Latinos, they can go home, but foundational Black Americans are stranded over here. And so if somebody like me says, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and be the bad guy and threaten to sue them, and by doing that, it will put so much pressure on them, they'll make a financial decision and they'll say, hey, we got 3-4 billion people here anyway. Let's just let this other 30 million Black people, let's loosen up the red tape so that they can come over here. And so in 100 years, and I want you to understand something, it is 2026 now. By 2000 or 2100, the year 2100, 40% of the world's population is supposed to be Black or of African descent. Okay, that's what I need you to understand. The resources are in Africa, the gold's in Africa, the oil is in Africa. You know, that's going to be the place to be for the generation that comes up behind us. Okay, in 75 years, the children that are 1 year old today will be 75. So their grandchildren are going to probably be traveling back and forth to Africa like we travel back and forth to Jamaica. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the thing that's stopping us from going to Africa is one thing to go to Africa. You can hop on a plane and go, but do you have land? Do you have citizenship? Do you have land rights that can't be taken back from you? Okay, and see, what we have to do is use our power, the power and might of the American government to force ourselves through those doors. The same way they took us by force, we're going to take what belongs to us by force. That is our citizenship, our land rights, and our inheritance. Now, most of you all shouldn't care how we get it, okay? And my mind is just ruthless enough to come up with, hell, let's sue Africa. Hell, I'd sue my mama. You understand what I'm saying? So I remember I was playing football and my football coach said, man, if my mama hopped out of here and put some pads on, I'm gonna tackle her. This is the mentality I was raised with. So don't let the smooth taste fool you. And if I have to do it for my people, I will. I love you all. And so, you know, all the flack I've been taking because I said, let's sue Africa, it's leverage. And I expect somebody to take this and run with it and say, yeah, they do owe us some money. You all who grow up and get into Congress to become lawyers and judges, then, you know, hey, look, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's get this law changed and get these Black folk over here permission. And then once you start filing lawsuits and people start saying, hold on, wait, hey, we can talk. We can work this out. We do not have to sue. Don't take our oil. Give us our, you know, we'll take your oil tanker. We've showed, we will do you like we did Venezuela. We will take your oil and you'll just be short. You see? We'll get with the European white people and seize all your money and your houses that you have in London for your rule, and we'll stop you from coming over here. You see, you use leverage again. You use the power of the American government and the power that we have to make sure that Black folks have a way to get out of here. If you want to stay, baby. Uncle D is probably going to be here forever. They're going to bury me about 3 or 4 miles down from where my house is sometime in the future. I'm going to be here. But if I can make a way for my people, you see what I'm saying? If I can make a way for these young people, look at all these young people on here crying. They didn't know they had somewhere else to go. And they like, yeah, I can see myself living there because they see themselves through this young man right here. And that's why it's important that I talk about this. Okay, you guys may not understand. Why is Uncle D talking about IShowSpeed? Because young people love him, and you got to figure out what that's what being a good father and a good elder is. This is what the young people are into. This is the guy that they like. They like him, and they will follow him. So it's important that we cheer for him, okay? And it's important that we try to make a way for them to experience what he's experienced. If that's positive, we should push that. And if we can clear up some red tape and say, hey, look, all y'all need to stop trying to charge us visitation fees. You need to cut the immigration process, the citizenship process down from 4 years to 2 months, as long as they can prove their African heritage through official government documentation, et cetera. That's all I'm trying to tell y'all. And so me saying, hey, let's sue Africa for reparations, that's just leverage. That's what lawyers do. We might not ever get $1 from Africa, but if we can get land allotments and citizenship for our people, move out the way and foundational Black Americans will build. We are some of the most dynamic people, industrious people on the planet. We are the 9th largest or the 13th largest economy if it was just us by ourselves. So anyway, let's keep listening to this. Y'all hit the #1 button if you can hear it.
A young man with a camera walked through African cities and simply pressed record. That's it. That's all it took to shatter 400 years of carefully constructed lies.
Yep.
And now, the people who built those lies are panicking, because once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. For centuries, the West has carefully curated the image of Africa that reaches global audiences. Through news reports, documentaries, charity advertisements, and Hollywood films.
Shout out to Faquan. But yeah, all we know about Africa is children with flies in their eyes. That's what they would have us believe. We didn't know poverty. But then when you look at places like South Africa, why do you think the white people went there and stayed? They're not going in and living in dumps. Right?
They have painted our continent with one brush: poverty, disease, desperation, and helplessness. This narrative has served them well. It justifies their humanitarian interventions. It legitimizes their continued extraction of our resources. It positions them as saviors while we remain perpetual victims in the global imagination. But then came Speed. Through his highly viral African tour, broadcast live and unfiltered to millions across the globe, IShowSpeed has shattered that carefully constructed illusion.
Yeah.
His live streams from countries across our continent have become something far more significant than entertainment. They have become an act of digital decolonization, a counter-narrative so powerful that it has left Western audiences in a state of crisis, confusion, and even tears. The reactions have been nothing short of extraordinary. Across social media platforms, particularly TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, American and European viewers who have spent their entire lives consuming Western media's portrayal of Africa are experiencing what can only be described as cognitive dissonance.
Yeah,
they are watching Speed's streams and seeing vibrant cities with modern infrastructure, bustling markets filled with commerce, young people
somebody type Wakanda forever in the chat room. We got
dressed in contemporary fashion, smartphones everywhere, luxury cars navigating well-paved roads, and crowds of thousands gathering not in desperation but in celebration.
What I really love and admire about IShowSpeed's Africa tour is the fact that he's showcasing Africa and all of its complexities and contradictions. He's not just going to the parts of our countries that are developed and have modern cities. He's also visiting communities that sit on the outskirts that are living more traditional agricultural sedentary lifestyles or nomadic lifestyles. He's visiting villages and meeting with community elders and royals. He's showing respect to all facets of our societies, which is what truly humanizes us, because Africa is a very complex continent with different sides to it, right? It's not fully modernized and it's not fully traditional. It's not fully perfect and it's not fully imperfect. It's all of it at once. And once you paint an honest image of Africa, then you show respect to everybody who lives within African societies, as opposed to just one part that is deemed more palatable based on Western criteria. But IShowSpeed has done a really good job at humanizing everybody, and I love that about him, and I hope he continues to do what he's doing, because this is honest representation that Africa has been lacking for a very long time. I think it's also important for people to realize that just because a country has infrastructure doesn't mean that country is thriving. Because I see a lot of comments under these videos of IShowSpeed visiting different African countries where people are saying, oh, Africa's not poor, look at all these cities that are developed.
Well, I mean, let's let her finish.
Look, Africa's not poor. And it's just like, well, how do you define poor? Because sure, we have infrastructure in some of our countries, but is the wealth trickling down? A lot of these cities are built on foreign debt. And there is a lot of corruption, which is stifling our economic progress in some of our countries.
Yeah, and see, that's the cultural problem that I talk about. You know, you have a sellout culture where, an individual say, well, you know what, I'm gonna just take the money meant for this and work with these folk and sell them out, and that's the problem. It's a lack of loyalty, a lack of love and appreciation for what you have. And that's the problem, okay? But let's keep listening.
How do we define poor? Because sure, we have resources, but are the people benefiting from those resources? Are the taxes going towards healthcare, education, and housing? Are people able to save enough money? Are people able to achieve upward social mobility in these countries? You can't look at the aesthetic of a country and assume that it's thriving, because there's countries in the West, such as Europe and North America.
There are states in the United States that have infrastructure and they are poor, okay? So that's everywhere, baby. But are the people happy? You see, that's the other thing, the life quality of life, you know, and I've made enough money in my life to realize, and that's why I hardly ever talk about money or anything like that. Clearly I'm working because I'm not missing any meals and I live pretty well, but money is not the most important thing. It's peace of mind and happiness, family. You know, it's peace of mind and happiness. And, you know, when you realize, when you get to the stage, and I realized this is probably when I was about 35 or 40, I'm like, this is it. You know, you have all this money and this is it. You're surrounded by liquor, your belly is sticking out, you got a bunch of women that don't give a damn about you. You know, they're there for the money. You got people, friends, fake friends around you because they just want the money. This is it. You got a bunch of users. That's what happens. So when you get over that, you realize the most important thing about life is peace of mind and happiness. And that has a lot to do with where you are. Okay. So, you know, same people, you got those jobs you don't like and you're making money, but it's like, damn, it's just ripping your soul out of you. Okay. So that you don't have peace of mind and happiness. But let's keep listening.
That have adequate infrastructure, and yet homelessness is insanely high. Like, the way a country looks is not an indicator of how well it's thriving, and it's important to remember that.
These are not isolated.
And that goes both ways, right?
Reactions. They are flooding in by the thousands, representing a mass awakening to a truth that Pan-Africanists have been shouting for generations. Africa is not what they told you it is. The West is breaking down because
we still got a lot of Africans coming over here that don't want to go back. Okay, and there's got some being picked up by ICE and don't want to go back. So there's something to be said. And this is not the only view of Africa. Remember, IShowSpeed is a millionaire. He's young. He's got 50 million followers. He's not the average African living in Africa and African continent, country.
IShowSpeed has committed the ultimate transgression. He has allowed millions of people to see Africa without their filter, without their editorial control, without their narrative framework. And in doing so...
All right, so that's another video. Let's take a look. Let's look at him hanging out in some of the rural parts. I thought that was pretty cool. Y'all hit the #1 button if you can hear this clearly.
She's grinding the... She's...
Hold on a minute. Family friendly. Family friendly.
She's grinding.
Don't be putting them tatas on there. You got a tatas out. This is a nature. This is not a nature special. Cover that up. Cover that up.
So the
Family
woman,
friendly.
so the men can bath?
Yes, they can bath.
But the woman can bath?
No bathing. Even the men can wear that okra and then put it on, but women, we don't use water at all. We never bath even in our childhood. So you just put the okra on and then you remove it a bit with the porridge too. Straight into the So that's the butter inside from the cow.
So
she's saying they don't take baths, they like okra or something. But remember, these folk are way out. I don't know. I don't know. Let's keep listening.
Okay, so I shower with butter and okra?
Yes. So the okra protects us.
Look how beautiful her skin is, though. Just look how beautiful her skin is. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Look at that beautiful, dark, rich. You see the burgundy undertones, just gorgeous. Not a blemish on her whole body, just gorgeous.
From the sunburn, as a sunset, because it protects from the sunburn as well as also from the coldness.
Yes. So chat, the men baths with water, but the women here bath with butter and okra.
Okay.
And how do you bath in your country?
How do I bath?
I take a shower.
I get a bar soap.
Yeah.
You know what's like a bar soap?
Yeah.
Then I do there, I get down there, I do all of that.
He said I get down
You know,
there.
then I wash it off. So I have soap all over my body. I get every part of my body. Then I go in the water, wash all the soap off. Then after that, this is called Old Spice, like deodorant.
Come on, man. Come on with the Old Spice, bro. Bro, your pickup lines are trash. IShowSpeed, your pickup lines are trash. You need to do better than that, man. Okay?
I get deodorant and I spray it under my underarms. I really appreciate you because you taught me, you didn't just teach me, but you taught millions of people about your tribe as well. I would just repeat what I just said.
We're back.
We're back? Okay, back to what I was saying. Thank you so much for informing me about your tribe, but not just me, but millions.
Now, what we learn from here is that IShowSpeed Speed does not use a towel. Okay. Okay, we've learned that you are not using the towel in the shower. Now, black people, remember a couple years ago we were talking bad about white people because they didn't use a towel. Okay, so it seems to me we've been outed right here. Okay, you got that bar of soap and you just sitting underneath that shower and you just rub that bar of soap all across your body. Okay, and then you put a little baby oil on and come out and put a little shea butter on your face. Some of y'all not using towels either. Shout out to Black by Design. Some of y'all are not using towels either. And IShowSpeed, he just outed all of us. Okay, sometimes you don't want to go in that bathroom and get that face towel. Sometimes walking through the hallway when it's cold, you can just hop out your room, hop in the shower, put that little soap on, get the back of your head, okay? Pit, and you out. You don't have time. You don't want to, you got to go to work. It's already bad enough you got to bend over and put your socks on, okay? You got to get, I know what you're doing. Some of y'all, I knew that was a lie. I know some of y'all don't use towels, and we just blamed it all on the white people. It's true. It's true. And he just said, he just get a little soap and then he come in with the Old Spice. Nothing about, I didn't hear anything about a face towel mentioned. We've been outed. Y'all better hope white folk don't see this. They're gonna come back at us strong. Hit the number 1 button.
Things of people in the chat as well. You taught everybody about your tribe. You welcomed me and and your whole village and tribe welcomed me as well. And I really appreciate it because I learned a lot today. And not just me, but all of my fans and everybody who's watching this learned a lot. So everybody in the chat spam W Beauty in the chat. We learned a lot about the Himba tribe and the Himba culture. That's located in Namibia. So
wow. Namibia.
W's in the chat, y'all.
That's dope. Love it. Let's see, we got another one. This one was, I saw this. I think everybody saw this one. Apparently somebody just jumped on him. He had to fight for his life in Africa. Look at this. He just jumped on him. Hold on a minute. Look at this nigga. Hold on a minute. What are you doing? Get your underhook. Get your underhook. There you go.
Joe, man, I got two.
The hell was that? You see that?
Okay. Bring me fufu. Thank you for the fufu.
I'm gonna go find me a Nigerian restaurant to go to tomorrow. I know they ain't gonna have nothing on the menu that they say they have, but I'm gonna get some of that food. I'm gonna go find myself a Nigerian restaurant. I'm gonna do it. You know, this food is a little spicy, but come out hot. Go in hot, come out hot. But my man said, bring me some heat. He is the chief.
Yeah, you have to your banana. Fufu. So
All right then.
Very good.
All right then.
W fufu chat. What? Fufu, yeah. Fufu? Yeah.
Now, I want y'all to notice he's eating with his right hand, okay? Because that is customary to eat with your right hand because you eat with your right hand and it's a communal eating situation. So everybody eats with their right hand. Eating with the left hand is considered inappropriate. We'll say inappropriate because the left hand is used for other things. The right hand is used, the left hand is used for, okay? So just keep that in mind. I just want y'all to understand the right hand, left hand, okay? Because they don't have tissue paper ever. Ain't no Charmin like that. And all those little, it's inappropriate. This is the left hand. That's why you don't shake with your left hand. Men don't shake with their left hand because traditionally that's the hand you throw it away, okay? This is the baby wipe hand. Baby wipe hand, eating hand, okay? So just so you know. So that's why he was very peculiar. He was very particular about reaching. And just be mindful, like when you read and you travel, you learn these things, okay? And so when you do travel, you want to be try to understand the culture so you don't offend people. But it's beautiful. Let's keep watching. Look at this.
Very good, thank you. So let's go.
Oh, you got to fight for your life? Let's see. Hey.
On and ready to pop it.
Now keep in mind, his daddy is from Detroit, okay? His daddy's from Detroit, and his granddaddy was the first black man who was a fire chief from Detroit. All right, so I want you to keep that in mind.
The children, what a welcoming. These my daughters? Yeah, the daughters. How I keep getting kids?
He's sorry, them kids, your kids now.
So y'all my
Them
daughters?
your kids now.
Hey, daughter, how you doing?
Just to welcome you. Yeah.
So y'all my kids? These my kids?
Yeah, just to welcome you.
Wait, should I actually become king? I keep getting kids. Oh, what?
Thank you so much.
Okay, my kids. I'm gonna see y'all later, kids. Thank you, kids.
This way.
Thank you, kids.
Run away from the kids.
Thank you, kids.
Look at the bodyguard.
What?
I mean, look how beautiful the people are, man. They so, they are just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful out there. Look how beautiful they are, man. You see, and it's so unfortunate that we have, we have this sordid history, just a beautiful group of people on this planet. And it would be great in an ideal situation if we can come back together and do it peaceably, but they've had 400 years to open their arms and let us back in, and they haven't sent any boats over here. And so that's why I've taken the position that I've taken. And that's why many black people have taken the position they've taken, that, hey, you know what, we're going to delineate. And I think what you all are going to find is once they realize that we're serious, and they're quickly realizing this, that's when they'll come running. There's this my mother's old friend, her name was Shaba Shabaka. She owned a bookstore in Los Angeles. She said, if you're tired of chasing after people, what you do is just pick your things up and leave and walk away, and they'll come running. And so what's going to end up happening is, and what you see happening is, a lot of these Africans are now saying, hold on, no, you're our people too, because they see us basically running away, saying, no, well, we're going to do our own thing. And because you didn't treat us right, we're going to go ahead and delineate, and we're going to keep our things for ourselves, and we're going to exclude you since you wouldn't accept us. And I think that's the most powerful message the Foundation of Black Americans can send, because we've been the redheaded stepchild of the African diaspora. We're the only ones that have to prove our heritage. They ask a Jamaican, where you from? They don't ask him what part of Africa they're from. He says, I'm from Jamaica, it's all good. You ask a Trinidadian, where you from? I'm from Trinidad. Okay, what kind of black are you? I'm a black from Brazil. Okay, but they never ask those people, well, where are you really from? You see what I mean? So delineation is you all don't realize this, but I do. Delineation is a power move. Delineation is an assertion of authority. Delineation is basically saying, okay, we're going to separate from you. We don't need you. We'll see how well you do. And I'm very proud of Foundation of Black Americans for coming to that collective conclusion. It is an amazing decision, and you all don't really realize it. But what's going to end up happening, it shows the power and authority and autonomy that we have. And now they'll have to speak to us from a place of respect. Just hold the line. Don't fold. Don't be weak. Don't succumb to your heartstrings, if you will. Again, this is a beautiful thing. I love to see it. Let's keep listening. Shout out to Faquan. Let's continue.
What's up, man? What? What?
Everybody buff. man you can't be wild and crazy with an Apple earplug in your ear, bro. You can't be out here talking about you a savage and you're like, hold on a minute. You out here listening to your earplug. Is that an earplug? Bro, it's an Apple store right up the street from you. You acting like you a wild, crazy dude. Anyway, let's keep listening. Shout out to Black by Design. Boy, that's just claim to fame. He wasn't gonna let you win. He wasn't gonna let you win. Your arm hurt.
You got that, bro. You got that other strip that you just got. You work out? No speak English. You work out?
None of them work out.
You work out? Yeah. You work out? Yeah. How many times a week? 1, 2, 3, 4. I am natural.
He said he natural. That's how you know when the white boys running up in there in the interior of Africa kidnapping black people. He naturally like that. Okay? It was black people that got us and brought us to the shore for the white man. This is how you know. Ain't no white man running up in there wrestling with this dude right here. First, you can't catch him. Okay, number one, you can't catch him. Secondly, when you catch him, it's going to be a fight. So that's why I know it had to be black people that had to participate in the transatlantic slave trade, or it wouldn't have worked. But either way, let's keep pushing. Hit the number one button.
Bro, can you have to make a hole? I know
So he just out amongst people chilling.
Where you want to go? Right here, right there. Yo, what? I come encore. Yeah, Jamaica. I come in. Now you're gonna learn the hardest dance in the world. So what? You're gonna learn the hardest dance. The hardest dance.
Oh, he's about to dance. Oh, wow, look how beautiful that. Oh, my God. Now, that is symbolic of a bird. That's a bird that he's imitating right there. I've seen that before. I've actually seen some documentaries on that. Beautiful.
How is he doing that?
He said, how you doing that? With his feet. Yeah, man, that's dope. Oh boy, he is hot footing it.
What the fuck?
Uh-oh. Dude with the bonnet on. He had a bonnet. Get the underhooks, man. No. Go for that. There you go. Good takedown. 2 points. Full mount, ground and pound. Watch the half guard. Watch the half guard.
Who the hell is that?
He said, who the hell is that? Damn, that's a hell of a party. Out there fighting for your life. Oh, goodness. I don't know what happened. He just came out of nowhere. Jumped your ass, man. Y'all want to look at that again? I mean, where did he come from? He just came out of nowhere, just jumped his ass out there. Look at this nigga all white. He looked like he was rolling around in baby powder before he came out. You minding your business, you know, at the chicken foot contest. And next thing you know, your boy just jumped out of the crowd and jumped in. Damn. Somebody, what's that called? Can 2 vacation? Damn. He jumped out on it, man. I think I sprained my ankle looking at that, man. Damn. Look, we got a diaper on and a bonnet and some shades, some locs from the liquor store. Look at that. Dust. What the hell is going on? What are we doing? Why we turned up like that, man? I know. Yeah, man, this is good stuff, man. Somebody says a spiritual dance to show the power of black people That's pretty dope. I like that, man. That's what you got for your birthday. You got bouncing to the ground by a little short African dude dipped in baby powder. That ain't really no 21st birthday that I'm interested in having. But, you know, it's a hell of a thrill. Now imagine him trying to explain this to his grandchildren in about 60 years. Oh man, you got some goddamn, I mean, you just jump out there on your ass like that. What kind of shit is that? That ain't what I want to do. If I go to Africa, I want to stay in a nice hotel on the beach and, you know, and chill out and give me some cool food. Give me one of them little hats that they have. Oh, you know what? Speaking of which, I got somebody I need y'all to, you know, I got all these people that don't like the things I say sometimes, okay? And so this young man, he gave me a call, and you know, I let everybody speak. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick break and let him talk. Y'all listen to him, okay? Everybody's a critic. Everybody got something bad to say about Uncle D. They not with the FBA thing, okay? He'll introduce himself. I want just, you know, he'll tell you who he is. All right, and you know, I'm gonna let him talk. I'm gonna get on out of here, let him talk. I'll be back in a minute, okay? I can't control what he gonna say. I said, you can talk to my people, you know, because Uncle D is not unreasonable. Uncle D is not an unreasonable person. I'm gonna let the brother talk, and I'm gonna let him talk. So you guys hit the #1 button. I'll be
everyone. And of course, Ikinishi Bugo Awambati Ayabaile Africa. My name is Ayo Kweku Olumari. Yes, that is a West African name. And for you thick-tongued guinea fowls, no, it does not come with a nickname. I'm the new HN in this raggedy termite mound, and clearly overqualified for this chaotic safari of an assignment. Akomini Paitan, Ofin, Etoraji, Mogbonoro, Moede, Atimu Padapari Anja. And yet, here I am, stuck babysitting this extra husky bushbuck of a commentator. And just so you know, I am not being paid for this baobab-sized nonsense. My job is simple. Every time this light-skinned marabou stork with a microphone says something reckless, uninformed, or unnecessarily adventurous with the facts, I will appear, quietly, suddenly, like a leopard in tall grass. Consider me FBA knee-haw quality control. So this overfed warthog with a megaphone better watch his words carefully. Proceed with caution. Momang boni bububa. I'm always listening.
I think he is. Come on my show talking to me like that. Yeah, Black, you even said about me. What is a boboa bear? What is that? Call me extra husky. Talking about FBA nigga control. You don't control nothing up in here, little skinny African boy. Who do you think you talking to like that? Anyway, that's AO. That's who that is, AO. He'll be back here from time to time. I said, look, man, I'm trying to, I'm not a bad person. I love black people everywhere. So I'm gonna let you speak. But he gonna have to watch how he talk to me. Coming up here talking that stuff. Better not ever come in here talking to me like that again. Boy, I put these 1s and 2s on you. Anyway, let's go on here and get back to the broadcast. Disrespectful, bullet head looking sucker. How dare he? That's why we don't like y'all now. That's why we delineating from y'all right now. But anyway, let's get back to the young brother over there in the motherland. Send him back wherever he came from. But let's go through one more video. We'll keep it pushing. Y'all hit the #1 button.
Los Angeles, and I moved to south of France. Hey, check this out. But this ain't about me. This ain't about moving to France. Watch this. It's all over the web. like a spider. But anyway, check this out. It's IShowSpeed. I know y'all heard about him. One of the biggest streamers that's out there right now, no. But he's been traveling doing his world tours though, right? What's really, really interesting is he's in Africa right now. But before he got to Africa to do his Africa tour, he went to the UK, he went to Europe, he went to all these different other countries though, right? To Asian countries, and he really got bad treatment though from some of them. Got great treatment, but got some bad treatment that, you know, people call him out of his name, calling him monkeys, call him different type of experience that he had. But however, we're taught in America as Black Americans that Africa don't like us. That Africa's ugly. That, man, there's so many different derogatory things about Africa. And then when you get to see the love like this, I remember a long time ago I met with this African girl, and it was a room full of people in my old studio in Long Beach, and I asked her, why you guys don't like us in Africa? Man, she went from a quiet girl to standing up like a lion and was like, are you crazy? Are you crazy? But this is definitely confirmation of everything that she said, though. That's for another post. I have to explain that day. But this is everything that, and confirmation of that day right there is just actually just looking at his experience, seeing the warm welcome and how much the love is. And just for anybody out there that's just wondering how Africa is, it's crazy this many, many years later, we get to actually see the love that we got, though. And you get to see it through how they just embracing IShowSpeed, though, you know? IShowSpeed is out there living it up. He's loving it. He's keeping a smile. Every other place he was asking people, what you say? Because people was constantly saying some things that made him actually have to express it. So like, what the fuck? But
I mean, it's just beautiful, man. This young brother, his visit is timely. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate it, you know, and I hope that, you know, I hope that when Africans see this, they say, you know what, maybe the things that we've heard about foundational Black Americans is false. I mean, or maybe we have to come to the realization that it might be something else that makes us want to believe that, maybe jealousy or whatever. But the bottom line is it's a beautiful thing to see.
But when he went home to Africa, so if you're one of them countries out there that did something, he came here, he came to Europe, he came to France, how was he treated here? And just look how he's treated over there. This message is really going to Black Americans and anybody out there who's ever thought, you know, about Africa and how they are as a people. This really, really clearly shows the world how embracing these people are, how embracing we are. I'm Black, in case y'all didn't know this though. But anyway.
We know you Black, nigga. We know you Black, we can tell. You Black from LA too. I know the accent, I hear it.
Thumbs up to Africa. To everybody out there in the world, man, y'all need to take a look at that right there. Go shit. It's all over the web like a spider.
It is.
Anyway, see y'all in the next one. Leave it in the comments. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the situation. Oh!
All right, we got one more video and then we're going to push it. Of course, the Mzungu has something to say about this whole thing. Let me see here. Let me double check. I think I got one more video. Maybe I do. Let me see.
An American in another country.
Get your ass out of here. No more Zongo tonight, okay? I'm gonna have to go get that. I'm still upset about your boy coming in here talking that stuff. I don't even know what a bull bob is. But I told y'all before, I'm not light skinned, I'm red. It's a difference, I'm red. I'm not light skinned. Don't be around here calling me light skinned, I'm red. It's a difference. Prince, light skinned. Okay? Muhammad Ali, red. Okay? You understand? You understand the difference? Al B. Sure, light skinned. Okay? Malcolm X, red. Don't mess that up. Don't mess that up. Black ass. I can't believe he came here talking that shit to me. Anyway, let's get back to the broadcast. So like I was saying, family, it's unfortunate. And how did we get here today? We talked about this little, because see, it wasn't all fun and dandy over there, okay? And I'm gonna run this back so y'all can hear.
50 million YouTube subscribers, globally recognized and celebrated influencer Darren Jason Watkins Jr., aka IShowSpeed, chose to travel across Africa. Speed visited Nigeria, Angola, Kenya, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Mozambique, South Africa, and more. He was embraced everywhere, Young African boys were in tears as they rushed to hug him. Speed was celebrated and embraced across East, West, and Southern Africa. But at times, his treatment in Arab Islamic North Africa, Egypt, Morocco, and especially Algeria was very different. He saw up close and personal the hatred and racism towards black Africans, including African Americans. In the streets, Speed was met with racial slurs and other derogatory phrases. He attended a soccer match between Nigeria and Algeria, AFCON. Speed and his team were met with more racial slurs and physical objects were thrown at them. The atmosphere got so tense, they had to leave early, needing extra security to do so. Shout out to Senegal for winning the championship. Yes, sports fans around the world can get loud and violent. But Speed was attacked as a black man in a land where black men and women are bought and sold. Imagine how viral these videos would
Today, they still have slavery in Africa today.
Be if this were Europe. And the people shouting were Portuguese, English, or French. And they still had black slaves, like they do in Algeria, Mauritania, Libya, Qatar, Sudan, Saudi Arabia, and all throughout the Arab or Islamic world. Without even trying to do so, IShowSpeed has brought the Arab enslavement of Africans to a younger generation. So bombarded with media and government.
The Arab enslavement of Africans is what we're going to talk about a little bit today.
Lies and propaganda. The so-called Free Palestine movement has always sought to exploit black communities to further the cause of hatred for Israel and the Jewish people. Meanwhile, some of the same people who claim allyship with black people hate and enslave those same black people.
You see how they clearly treat IShowSpeed. You see that. I dealt with that. Only when I spoke to like the people, because all y'all did was gaslight and try to tell me, oh, it's just your experience, don't be pigeonholed by your experience. Why aren't you speaking up about black women being sold in these nasty countries? Including your own, including Dubai, including Kuwait, Qatar, Oman.
Speed is no Zionist.
Free Palestine, man.
But that's actually what makes his experience in Algeria even more powerful. Many are waking up, shaking off decades of deception. And it's not Hasbara or any kind of Israeli initiative responsible for the shaking. No, it's those who hate Jews and Africans, those who hate Israel and Africa, speaking for themselves. May they continue to speak loudly.
All right. So, okay, so we're moving pretty quick tonight, and I'm not going to hold y'all up here too long. We didn't have some marathons, and you guys have been educated thoroughly around here. But what I want to talk about specifically is cultural racism versus individual bigotry, okay? And when we talk about racism, it's important to separate individual acts of bigotry from cultural racism because they operate at completely different levels. Individual racism is when a person personally expresses prejudice or some sort of hostility towards a person making racist comments, using slurs, or acting hostile towards someone simply because they're black. Okay. Now I'm gonna deal with that in a minute. We actually have some guests here, and that's what I want to kind of hit on. Let's get some folk in here. Ikeen, what's up, man? Welcome to the broadcast. What would you like to add to the broadcast, sir?
Hey, what's up, brother? How you been?
I'm good. I've been good. Talk to us. We're talking about IShowSpeed. We can talk about some things that we spoke about here. I was about to hit on cultural racism, but what would you like to add? Now you can't run away. Now hold on a minute.
No, I had to talk
you sit down. We live. We talking to people. You can't run away. Yeah, go ahead.
I had this heater on. The thing was just too much.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to turn off the heater. It was like blowing me too hard.
Where you coming in from? Where you at right now?
Yeah, I mean here in Dallas.
Okay, cool. That does not sound like. Well, go ahead. In Dallas, go ahead. We could have called it. We could took care of this on the phone. But go ahead, man. Let's hear what you got to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the thing is, like I've always said in many channels, maybe when I send message to Antoine, Daniel, Latif, when I go up here to talk and stuff, I always talk about the difference between the two people. which is one people. It's actually one people. But unfortunately, there is a movement that happened. Mothers lost children. Children were taken out, and the children that were lost were taken across the Atlantic. But over the years, the ones that were here, that were brought here through slavery, yearned to go back to Africa. But when the Africans started coming here, there kind of some kind of roughness that happened between the two brothers, which is total misunderstanding. Because the Africans that were coming here thought that the ones here, due to white people, supposed to be better than the ones back home. But due to lack of history, or lack of being taught of history, they didn't know that the ones that are here went through a whole lot. You see what I'm saying? They were not taught. They were not groomed in a good way. They were actually tortured. So many bad things happened to them. So the ignorance of the African man from Africa actually contributed to the consternation that we have today. That is why, to me, the both side that of the coin, the way they fight, as long as I'm concerned, is total misunderstanding. But we can't be great. We can't achieve anything if we don't like ourselves. Even though we don't marry each other. Some, in most cases, we do marry each other, but there is still social breakdown that I think that has to be addressed. IShowSpeed went to Africa. The way he was welcomed in the North is the way the North welcomed the Central and South Africa, Southern Africa. And the reason why they welcomed him the way they did is because during early slavery of maybe 400 years ago, it goes beyond that. During Alexander the Great, when Alexander conquered Egypt, and subsequently the West invaded and then pulled back and invaded. They started most of the things that happened had to do with birth, which means the white men were sleeping with the Arab women, with the Northern African women, having mixed case. The Arabs were doing the same thing too. So it was a collaboration between the Arabs and the West that produced the Northern Africans to be more of light skin. So they don't want any relationship with the Central and Southern Africa because they are dark skinned. So when somebody like IShowSpeed comes there, due to the ignorance that black people have about North Africa and the ignorance that Africans, Central, Northern, and Southern Africans have about black people, we always think that the Arabs in the North will welcome us. No, they don't. Because they believe that they're better than you. Even though they used to be black, but now they are whitewashed by the Europeans and the Arabs, mostly by the Arabs. So IShowSpeed encounter in the Northern Africa is what Africans go through over there. Africans go there, get kidnapped, their kidneys get stolen, their livers get stolen and sold in the black market. It happens daily.
Yeah.
In Libya, in Egypt, all the way to the Middle East. It happens. But when he went to the Central Africa, which is the whole of East, Central, and West Africa,
Right.
he was welcomed. And that's how we were taught from childhood that Africans, black Africans, and African Americans are the same. But unfortunately, when we come here, things fall apart.
So what's your country of origin specifically? Is it Ghana, Nigeria?
No, Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay. So how old were you when you left Nigeria?
I came here when I was 22.
22. So you were grown up.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is, and you probably 40. How old are you? About 40. So you
46.
got here at 46. So you young man, young, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the thing you have to understand is that for the most part, before you got here, I'm assuming you got here probably around 2000. We went through a
2002.
we went through a whole cultural experience where Black people were talking about going back to Africa. We used to have African medallions. We were heavy into the Pan-African movement, the red, the black, the green. You know, many of us studied African spirituality, et cetera, et cetera. So you could imagine when Africans begin to travel to the United States. So here's the thing you need to understand. In 1965, there was only about 50,000 Africans born in Africa who were in this country. Before that, Africans were banned from coming to this country along with other minorities because of something called the Hart-Celler Act. So prior to that point, this country was just white American and Black American. And when I say Black American, I'm talking about descendant of slaves. There wasn't a lot of Caribbeans. Of course, there's always been Caribbeans in and out of this country because the slave trade. But for the most part, there was not a lot of Africans. So what happened after 1965, Africans began to migrate to the United States. Shout out to Black by Design. And so by the 1980s, they started having a more of a showing. By the time we get to the 1990s, they start showing up in like professors, because many of them came with PhDs and they were educated. And so now here we are. If we just want to fast forward, you came with a wave of Africans who came. You're like the third wave of Africans who came to this country. And many of them have had children. So you got first, second, third generation. About 25% of the Black Americans that we call Black Americans, the people who are of African descent in this country, are first generation, second generation Africans or Caribbeans. The largest portion of Africans are from Nigeria. And so what you have to have, what I want you to understand is when people begin to get a foothold, when people start establishing themselves, they get more confident. We saw it happen with the Latinos. At first, they came with their hat in their hand and they wanted to be black and brown, brother. The Black people in New York will tell you that the Puerto Ricans first got to New York and we just adopted them as Black. But then when they start getting the numbers up, that's when the prejudice and the clanism, the clannishness and the tribalism came out. Okay, and of course, I'm talking about people of a different ethnic group. And so now what I see when you have people like a Shabuzi, they identify as immigrant first, not Black. They have disparaging things to say about foundational Black American culture. We're lazy. We don't want to work. Look at me. Look how successful I am. But in those particular situations, they never compare themselves to the elite foundational Black Americans. They always compare themselves to the poor Black people. And that's like me comparing myself to some poor person from Compton or the Bronx. Why would you compare yourself to that person? Or like me comparing myself to some white person that lives in Appalachian Mountains in a trailer park. That's not a fair equivalent. But the bottom line is, it seems to me, and I think a lot of Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, and those are the people who can trace their lineage back to 1865, before slavery, they're saying, you all treat us as though, you treat us as though there's something pathological about us, yet you reap the benefit of our civil rights movement. So what I'm trying to say, Akeem, is that but for Black Americans who fought for civil rights, they wouldn't even let you in the country because there was a racial ban on that. And so we see that as ungratefulness, number one. And then also, we also recognize the fact that many of the Africans, and not all, and many of the Africans who come over here, they have disparaging things to say. We know, and we've always known that, many Africans teach their children, don't associate with those Black Americans. They're criminals, they're violent, they're gangbangers, they'll shoot you, they're lazy, they don't want to work. There's different disparaging names. I believe Akata, which means basically bush cat or stray cat or cat without a home, in the Yoruba language. And I don't know what language you speak. I don't know what tribe. But bottom line is these are the things that Black Americans have dealt with. And there was a movie that came out many years ago called New Jack City, and that was the first time we heard that racial slur directed towards Black people. We get it. We were enslaved here. We picked cotton. But actually, that's something that we're quite proud of because it's made us tremendously hard. It's made us tough. We are some of the toughest people on the planet. We're the only Black people. We're the only minority group in this country that has forced white people to do what we said do. Nobody else has been able to do that. The truth is, white people and Black people in this country have an understanding. When I say understanding, they know that we will get violent if they do too much to us. I did a broadcast about a week ago, and I shown that during the Watts riots, the police beat up one Black man, and we fought them in the streets with guns and weapons for six days straight. When Dr. Martin Luther King got shot, the night he got shot, 100 cities in America went up in flames. You see what I'm saying? So the reason that they don't mess with us is because they know we put hands on it, we'll turn it up, and nobody teaches that history. And so there's a reason that Black Americans have to be violent. This is a warrior country that we live in. America has been at war for 176 years of its 250-year history. I think it's 190 years. And so I
think America has been in war for 250 years of it. Even before that, Israel has been in war.
Yeah, so that just goes to prove the point. This is a warlike culture that we live here. But Black Americans have been able to hold our own because of that culture. Another thing that they say, we don't have culture, but it is that same survival culture that we have, which is why we're here and the Native Americans have been wiped out. It's why we're here and you have all these ICE agents sending Hispanics, and that wouldn't happen to us. We would literally shut the city down, shut the country down. So but let me finish. I'll wrap this up and I'll let you finish. We do have a culture. We find it insulting when Africans say we don't have a culture. We are very proud of who we are. We're very successful. We welcome you all with open arms. We're looking forward to Africans coming here, but it seems as though you all have been a bit xenophobic. And so when you say it's a misunderstanding, because it's just a misunderstanding, I think it's more than a misunderstanding. I think foundational Black Americans have a good understanding after 70 years of interacting with Africans and them being more or less 25% of the Black population. We have a very good understanding of Africans, and we've come to the determination that we want to delineate. We want to be FBA. And so I think it's more than just a misunderstanding. But go ahead. What would you like to say?
Let me put it this way. Most African Americans in this country are of the Igbo tribe of Nigeria. That's why you do the way you do. Strong, fight back. We've always done that. Even in Nigeria, the Igbo tribe fights back. They've always fought back. They will always fight back because that's how their nature is. African Americans have a lot of the genotype of the Igbo tribe because most of the Igbo tribes were brought here in America. And even when you do your DNA mapping or DNA test, it tells you that you're of the eastern tribe of Nigeria. But that being said, when the British came to Africa, there is one thing that is known of the British. It's called class system. The British practice class system, which means they have their hierarchy, which is pyramid, and they kind of divide themselves in classes. So when they came to Africa, they introduced that to Africa. We didn't have that because remember that mostly the Igbo tribe did not have what we call. I'm sorry for hearing my daughter whenever she's cranky.
Oh, that's fine. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Igbo tribe, what they do basically is that they didn't have poor people in the tribe. because every man is entitled to his own life, his own farm, his own livestock. When you are poor, it is obligated of your family members to make sure you get out of poverty. And when you are rich, it's your obligation to get your siblings out of poverty. It's always been like that. That's what I saw when I came here. When African Americans talk, they talk as a family because they project that Igbo culture. But what happened is this: if you come to Nigeria, we have many tribes, and some of these tribes who come here, they practice the British system because it's their culture. But it's not that the British introduced it to them, but they've always been like that because they have a king, and everybody in the community serves the king. And from there, hierarchy is broken up. But in Igbo land, we have autonomous towns, which means every town rule itself. You don't have a central government. The government is decentralized. So when an Igbo man comes to America, that's where the consternation begins between African American man and the Igbo man. I'm not talking about the rest of Nigerians because it's a whole totally different thing. The Akata thing is an insult from the Yorubas to African Americans, not from the Igbos. See what I'm saying?
I hear
Because
you,
it's
but
yeah,
go ahead. Please finish. Please finish.
yeah. So when we come here, we the Igbos expect every black man to be hardworking. So when we come, we like I know a lot of African Americans that work in the same company must have seen an Igbo person always talking aggressive, like you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Come on, stand up on your feet. You can't sit back. They push you to do something. But it comes out aggressive or disrespectful. I see that. That's why I tell some Igbo guys, you gotta just back down. It's not the same culture now.
So you're saying the Igbo guys are more aggressive with black? Please,
With
I need to understand what you're saying.
So an Igbo man is aggressive to get somebody to work to make money. It's all about making money to him. If you're making money, you guys are friends. But if you're not making money, he wants to push you to start making money. As long as you're black. You see what I'm saying? So that will come out rough and disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like I would tell you, in America here, half of my friends are African American guys, half of my friends are Nigerian guys, right? But those African American guys, we started rough. But today, we are big. Even my own wife is African American.
Okay, good,
So
good.
we start rough, but then within few months, we're now best friends. Even they come to my house and eat fufu. And that,
Okay, okay. With the right hand, right?
with right hand, I tell that you use your hand, wash your hand and dip it
Yeah,
inside.
yeah, yeah.
Don't use your left hand on it, and don't
Right,
use your
right.
spoon. You gotta wash that hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is this, right? We as Africans and African Americans, we shouldn't be divided. It's just lack of understanding of it. When I come to you, I want you to stand up on your butt and let's go make that money. But you're gonna repel it because you're like, who are you? You this African Buddhist crusher? You see? There's gonna be that disrespect because are you trying to come to my town, my country, and tell me how to make money? It's just like you, African American, coming to Nigeria trying to tell me how to make money in my own country, right? I'm going to repel you back. I'm going to push back. Because are you trying to tell me that I haven't seen all this? Whereas there is something you're seeing that I'm not seeing. But only if I can follow you, I can make a whole lot of money.
Well,
Yeah.
see, the thing is, foundational Black Americans have made a whole lot of money.
A whole lot.
On numerous occasions, we've made a whole lot of money. Right after slavery ended, we made a whole lot of money. You may not know this, but we occupied a large number of the people in Congress. We had black governors, PBS Pinch back in Louisiana. We had mayors in different towns and cities. We had thousands of little towns. And then white people got jealous and they literally burned them down. They had something called Red Summer of 1919. And so we made so much progress. There was a famous story about Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was called Black Wall Street. So here's the thing you have to understand. Even in the 1950s, we made so much progress that white people got angry again and they undermined us. They flooded, in 1965, they flooded the black community with drugs. They came up with the war on crime, which basically locked a whole bunch of black people away. And so every time black Americans begin to do well for ourselves, they undermine us. What you see happening right now is white people angry because they see minorities or people that are Hispanic doing well for themselves, specifically the Indians. Like you have all these Indians who have their own racial caste system. They say, well, we're racist and you're racist, so we can team up and be racist against the other people. And that didn't work because white people are jealous of the Asians because the Asians are making more money than them. See, you don't understand the nature of this country. See, on its surface, everybody can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. But the truth is, when you do begin to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, the dominant society, the white folks, attack you and they start undermining you. When black people got the right to go to college, they came up with the SAT. College used to be darn near free and they raised the tuition to keep the black people out, you see? And so that's why I say on my channel all the time, black people and white people have an understanding. It's not necessarily we get along, but see, us talking to an African, you're like, this is a great country, this is wonderful. But see, now you're going through that cycle. See, about every 50 to 60 years, white people recycle. That's the racism kicks up. And so what's going to happen over the next probably 20 or 30 years is going to be an extremely inordinate amount of overt racism and systematic racism. And black Americans are like, okay, we're going to delineate and we're going to let y'all see what it's like. We're going to help you guys. The white people will teach you better than we can what they're really like. And especially now since they're concerned about losing numbers. So everybody thinks, oh, this is just Trump is bad. It's going to get worse because, see, in 20 years, Nick Fuentes and his ilk will be running for politics and president and mayoral office, and they'll be taking over positions. Black Americans have dealt with this before. I can tell you now, people are going to get hurt. The laws are going to change. It's going to be unfair. Money is going to be stripped away in the immigration system right now. If you stay past your visa, they charge you $984 a day. If you violate your visa, it's a $5,000 charge. And they're going to begin to take houses and cars. So everything these people earn is going to be taken away. So working harder is what you're saying. Work hard, make a lot of money, but white people always change the rules up and take that back. And so this is what we've been trying to explain to black immigrants, brown immigrants, especially our African brothers. We don't really owe a lot to the Latinos. They don't listen anyway. They have their own form of internal cultural racism. But we thought we'd be able to, we thought we were going to bring the black brothers over here. We want to have these, we thought we would have a special connection, but you all wouldn't listen. Now, you may be different. You got a black wife. Is she from Texas?
California.
Okay, yeah, so you listening. You have to listen because that's all she's doing is making you listen. But and see, like we have an old saying here, hard head make a soft ass. And what that means is if we can't tell you, you're going to have to learn the hard way. And so black Americans are like, no, we're going to delineate. But I think after this cycle, after Africans and Caribbeans get treated like they get that N-word wake up, that N-word treatment, you'll understand that work harder, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's more than that. They will always find a way to strip you of the wealth that you earn. And that's what we've had to deal with cycle after cycle after cycle. But go ahead, Ekin.
Thank you. Let me put it this way, right? I just want to address something because sometimes some people say things on chat room.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Well, don't worry about
Nigerians.
the chat room. Just
No, no,
let's
no, no,
talk to
don't
me.
worry.
I want
But
to.
no,
I don't.
no, I want them to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
something out of it. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of Nigerians, right? America is their second home.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like coming to like you from Louisiana,
No, I'm
but you went.
actually.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I'm just using
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
it's just
Okay.
like you're from Louisiana, but you went to California to work. And every year you go back to Louisiana to see family, right? And then you go to California again to go work. And maybe once or twice a year you come back to Louisiana to see family. That's what we do in America.
Yeah, I
Most of
know. Yeah, we
yeah.
know.
So
Yeah.
when some people say, "Why are you still here? Why don't you go?" We go home. You see what I'm saying? And some
And
of us
see.
we have more wealth in Nigeria than here because we have businesses, we have industries, we have factories. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a mechanical and aerospace engineer. I practice both in Nigeria and the US. And I know a lot of Nigerians that are pharmacists here in America. They're also pharmacists back home in Nigeria. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say Nigerian, don't assume they live here. Some of them work here. Their family is here. But that doesn't mean this is their permanent home.
We know.
That's the
That's the point.
no, that's the mistake that
Yeah,
some people
see,
don't know.
here's the thing,
You
and I'm
see
not,
what I'm saying?
and see, that's the point. This is our home. We don't have anywhere else to go. You
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
well,
but I'm heading
let me
somewhere
finish.
about that.
Let me finish. I know we could literally go somewhere, but we don't have a home. We don't have roots like that. This is our home. We know this place better than anybody else. And the thing is, because you can always go home, you're never really fully vested in this country. You know, I know a lot of Nigerians and Africans, they got they got a wife here and a wife there. I'm not saying you do. I ain't saying you do.
No
I
problem, no
would say
problem.
that.
I got you.
But you know what I'm talking about. And
Yes, sir.
and so they're not fully vested in this country. They come to the country, they reap the benefit of what found the umbrella of safety that foundational Black Americans have provided. And they don't give anything to the community. What happens when, look, you're a pharmacist, right? Shout out to Centric Vac. Shout out to everybody. You're a
No, I'm not a
pharmacist.
pharmacist.
Okay.
I'm not a pharmacist. I'm an
What
engineer.
you're an engineer. Okay, so let's say you have a company and I want to do business with a Black owned business. And I look at you, maybe you have an American name. Instead of E. King, you just call yourself Mike. And I want to do business with Mike. I'm thinking he's a Black man like me. And so I give you $75,000 to design something for me. Okay? That's $75,000. You're not going to spend it entirely in the Black community here in America. You're going to take that money and you're going to send it home. So, right? You send money home, right? That's what you do because you have an obligation to take care of your sisters and your brothers that are poor. You said that, right? But let me finish.
To most Africans, yes.
Nigeria, Jamaica, they have the highest number. I think it's called, I forget the name of the word. It starts with an R, but it's when you send money back home. That money leaves the Black community and it goes to other countries to help build wealth
but
there.
the Black
But you gotta let me
community
finish.
also have a lot.
You gotta
Oh,
let me finish, brother.
Sorry.
The money is sent out of the Black community. The education that you receive. If you received an education in the United States, that was a spot set aside for a Black person, or what we call African American. And so even though you are clearly an African and you are clearly an American, you're not a foundational Black American. Now imagine, and I remember checking the rolls at Howard University, which is a historically Black university, about 4 or 5 years ago, and I recall seeing that all the spots set up for medical doctors were all Africans, and I could tell by their last names. And so what I'm trying to say is, and when you go to the elite colleges and you look at a large percentage of the so-called African Americans are not foundational Black Americans, and those spots were set aside for us. They don't let us in. They don't want us in. We had to fight to get in, but then when you have Africans come take that spot, that's great for the African community, okay, but it's not great for the foundational Black American community because remember, for over 246 years, we were in slavery. For about 96 years, we had to deal with Jim Crow. Some of our parents couldn't read. My mother picked cotton in Mississippi till she was 14. My grandmother picked cotton her whole life. So when I grew up in the South, they weren't speaking high English. So had I been afforded the ability to go to a Harvard or a Yale, yeah, maybe I wasn't on the level of some of those students who've been there for years. But if you put me in there, that means the generation that comes behind me will have a father or maybe a mother that speaks English, that has been exposed to higher education. And so we'll begin to gradually build ourselves up. And even though the first generations of people came in, they may not have been qualified. They got in on DEI, they got in on affirmative action, but gradually it will help fix the problem. But what happens when you have Africans who come in and say, hey, you know what? We'll take those spots. So guess what? The Black Americans stay where they are or go down, and the Africans then come in and intercede and take those spots, whether it be engineering, medical doctor, whatever. And so Black Americans were cool with that at first until we realized, hey, these people say horrible things about us. They don't even consider themselves Black Americans. They don't even consider themselves Black. When we say, hey, you're Black like me, no, I'm Nigerian. I get it that you're Black, but you're tied to your Nigerian heritage. Same thing with the people from Ghana, same thing with the people from Jamaica. It's like you only appreciate us when you only say you're Black when it's convenient. And that's the thing we don't like. See, we're Black American all the time. We don't have another home to go to. We don't have another nationality to claim. So when you come in and say you're Black American and reap the benefit of what we've provided, then that's kind of that's stealing from us. And we were cool with that, okay? But up until we found out you all have negative things to say about us, disrespectful. If you want to address some of those points, go ahead, but I want to get back to the broadcast afterwards.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me address some of those points, then I will let you, then I can go. When it comes to spending money in the Black community, right? Black community is not even really spending money in the Black community, because most of them spend almost 90, I think it's 96% or 97% of the money that they spend goes back to the white community. But I would tell you, recently I wanted to cut grass. I wanted to do some work in my on my land, right? I reached out to 3 African American good workers. They never returned back my call. They said they're gonna go do the job. They never went. But when I called a white man, he's the one that cuts it every 2 months. You see what I'm saying?
Now, did the white man come or did he send some Mexicans to do the
No,
work?
he went, and he goes
You
there.
tell me the white man went out there and worked on the, what did he do?
So I have a plot of an acre of land that I'm building a house on. I called Black guys, 3 Black guys. In fact, one of them were referred to me by my closest friend, an African American. His own guy. He never went to cut the grass, but then I got a white man to go do it.
So you said a white man cut the grass?
I'm telling you, a white man, not a Mexican man. I still got his number. In Texas.
In Texas. I'm sorry. So, sir, respectfully. You telling me that a white man cut your grass in Texas? In Dallas, Texas?
In Dallas, Texas.
You're going to need to put photographs on that. I need to see that.
If you have a land, I was in Dallas here, I will send you his number and have you call him, and he's going to come cut your grass. A white guy.
I'd like to take a picture of that. Yeah, I'd like to see that. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead and finish the conversation.
He came and did the job. I called 3 Black men to come do.
So you had 3 Black men to cut your grass, and none of them came.
I called 3 different Black men. None of them.
How much was you paying? How much were you paying?
And guess what?
How much was you paying to cut that acre of grass?
The acre of grass, anytime they cut it, $125. And guess what? Even the Black guy charged me cheaper. And I said, come cut it. They never showed up, but the white guy charged me $125. I gotta pay. If not, I get a HOA fee, right?
Hey man, you get a white boy to cut your grass, but I want a picture of that. I'm gonna sit outside with an umbrella and some mint juleps. Make sure you get the corners, Bill. Brad, go ahead.
I was surprised, right, that he showed up. I thought he was never going to show up. He showed up. And not only that, most immigrants pay that most immigrants, I'm not talking about the ones that are citizens, right? The ones that are born here. I'm not talking about the ones that are born here. I'm talking about the ones that come here. Most of them, their parents pay their tuition. They don't go through the quota, the African, that's, the minority quota that the universities give out, right? They don't go through there because they pay their tuition from back home. So a lot of Africans that go to school here they can take the student loan, but they don't qualify for like the grant and stuff. They don't. They pay their tuition out of pocket. And I got to tell you one thing. I'm glad you said that about Africans taking some on DEI stuff, right? When I was in the University of Texas, Arlington, when the school starts, lots of students, especially freshmen. Most of these freshmen are black men like me, black boys like me. They're younger, in 18, 19, 20, 21. As soon as they get a financial aid check, they are gone. At almost 70%. They gone. So they actually enrolled into university to get that check, that financial aid check, right? The grant. And as soon as they got it, they gone. So if they are gone by getting that financial check, why blame Africans that stay around until the end of semester? So we can't stop blaming Africans for something that some people in the black community are doing deliberate, because that really bothered me so much that I will come to university, school starts, and I see this guy, we shake hands, it's a couple of them were in the class, laughing, joking, and as soon as the financial aid money drops, they're not coming to class anymore. And then I started asking, why is it like that? Then I found out that some of them, that's what their parents do. They will send their kids to come to school and enroll in college. As soon as they get that $15,000, $20,000 money, they're gone. You can't blame Africans for that. You can't say that Africans are taking quota from African Americans to university. That's not true, because that is not what I experienced. I saw all these things happen in my own eyes. I saw them pick up that money, that money hit their bank accounts after 20 days of in class, because there is a record that the professor, for every class you take, has to check that you've attended class for 20 days. And once they check you've attended class for 20 days and certify that attendance, that money will hit your account by Tuesday the following week. And once they get that Tuesday, once they get that, they got. But what I'm saying is that you might not agree with me. The people in the chat might call names and say everything that they want to say. That is my fact and experience. In fact, the state of Texas had to intervene and then start cutting people off. That's what is destroying the education in the black community. I wouldn't want my own child to do that. So I shouldn't be okay with somebody else's child doing that. I did it the first semester, and I had to go back to school the following week. Say, no, because somebody told me, hey, get him money and leave. I left. I'm like, hold on, I got education to finish. You know what I mean? I went back to class. I had to catch up for a whole week of absence. So they might not agree with me, but that is exactly what happened in the university when I was there. But the thing that I gotta say, that put aside, if there is anything we are doing in the black community, we have to tell the truth. If there is anything Africans are doing wrong to black people, we Africans have to tell the truth, just like I told many of my cousins the truth. I say you cannot say things stereotypical or things negative to people that you never face their suffering. If you were born in the hood, the chance of you surviving to be somebody in life is 20% because it's trauma. You might be traumatized from the moment you can retain memory. Your mom is frustrated. Your dad is gone. Nobody there to help you out. Your mom had the minimum education to be able to teach you homework. You try to get somebody else to teach you homework, but they're busy. You struggle in school throughout your life. By the time you turn 18, the chance of you making it 22 is very slim because of where you live. Nobody want to go through that. And when people go through that, don't pull them down. It's not good.
You
It's
talk.
not good.
That's the tip.
I'm
You're
talking
saying
about
that's the typical experience of a Nigerian. Okay.
that's
So,
what Nigerians do that I don't like. You don't
okay.
attack people you never live their life experience.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that I wasn't raised right when you didn't go through what I went through. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If
So
you
I wanna, because I wanna kind of, because I don't want to be here 4 hours. But so here's the thing. Number one, what you're talking about is kids going to college, getting the tuition money or getting the loan money or grant money, and then leaving.
yeah,
Okay, that's not just black people that do that. Hispanics do it. White people
I
do it
don't pay
all the
attention to
time.
Hispanic people.
Yeah, I know, but I do. And so
Okay.
Hispanic people do it. White people do it. It's common. Okay, they end up with school loans they have to pay. The other thing is those people aren't doing that because they have money. They're doing it because they don't have money. Now you mentioned the fact that the vast majority of the African students who come to this country, their tuition is paid by their parents. So what that indicates to me is that these are Africans who come here with financial means. It's something that we understand. They're sending their elite students here. Poor people, I mean, I know there are some exceptions, but poor Africans aren't able to come to the country. I get that. So again, as I said, why would you compare yourself, a person who's successful? You obviously come from somebody who cared enough about you to make sure you could come here and get an education, to poor black people. See, my sons
That's
don't. Let me finish. My sons, their tuition is paid. They drive. One of them is 16. I bought them a BMW at 16, 15. I bought the other one a Mercedes. You know, they probably have. They do pretty well for themselves working for me. They live an upper middle class lifestyle. They've on the end, they spend months at a time overseas hanging out with me in a villa with maids and workers, and this is down in the Caribbean. You know, my wife is a lawyer. I put her through or help her get through law school. She works. We do pretty well for ourselves. Okay, so compare yourself to me. See, I'm not a poor person. When you compare yourself, you're an elite black person from Africa, comparing yourself to poor black people. Well, no, because I didn't look. This is what I'm trying to. I want you to listen now. I want you to listen to me, okay? If somebody is waiting 20 days to get $20,000, that means they don't have the money. They're poor, okay? They're poor. All right. I didn't have to do that because I'm not poor. My sons don't have to do that because they're not poor. I'm what they call the upper middle class, the talented 10th, the elite blacks. So you're comparing you're basically saying this is the problem with black people. And I'm saying, no, the truth is 60% of black people in the United States are upper middle class, or rich. Okay, 60%. 18% live below the poverty line. Okay, and then there's a lot of those are old people. Some of those are old people. And so don't compare all of black America to what you saw happen at the University of Texas, Arlington, because a couple of guys that were black got the tuition money and left. I've seen it happen before. That's a poor people problem. It happens everywhere. If I go to Nigeria, I'm sure there's some poor people doing poor people stuff over there. There's some poor people doing things they shouldn't do. I wouldn't go over there with my rich lawyer self, look at all these poor Nigerians. These Nigerians are poor as hell over here. Look at them walking around with flip-flops on and no sandals, and I wouldn't do that. And so you're not comparing yourself to the upper echelon and the elite, and you're basing your judgment of who foundational black Americans are based on poor people doing poor people stuff. Hold on, brother. Hold on. Okay. Now, that being That
Wait,
being the case,
let me interrupt you a minute. Let me interrupt you a little bit. If we can wrap up like in about 7 minutes, then that way I can go take my baby to sleep. Let's wrap up in 7 minutes, please.
No, we can wrap up now. I was just trying to finish my point. But no, I appreciate you coming here, and I'm glad you were able to speak. I think it's more than just a misunderstanding. I think Black Americans have a great understanding of Africans. It's been 70 years. Again, you have, I think you and many other Africans have a misunderstanding of who we are, because the truth is the upper echelon of Black Americans don't associate with immigrants. We don't, I'm just gonna be honest with you. We don't really see you. You're not in our organizations. You're not in our circles.
I think it goes both ways, because if you look at it this way, most of us from elite Africa, we don't even
They stay there.
associate. Yeah, we just on our own. But guess what? You'll be surprised too. Because I tell you, I have a lot of African Americans that are in that upper class, that they and I, because you might not see them. You might, maybe where you are, you don't see African Americans and African in the upper level.
Oh yeah,
Here
I
in
got
Dallas,
some cool.
we mingle a lot.
Let me tell you something. I got some people I love to death. I got some Nigerians. I love them to death. My youngest son's godmother is a Nigerian sister. She is. I love her like my own sister. You see what I mean? On an individual basis, I can be cool with Africans, Caribbeans, or whoever. But what I'm saying is, group to group. Right now, foundational Black Americans as a group find themselves at odds with Africans as a group because we don't like the disrespect. You see? And so let me finish. I'm speaking on behalf of foundational Black Americans as a group, and largely the elite Black people who really, you never see them. You'd have to be invited to a private tea party by somebody to meet some of the women, and whether we're talking about the links.
I have some of them as friends.
Yeah, whether we're talking about the links, whether we're talking about what some people call Phi Beta Sigma, or these different organizations, they don't even associate. They don't even. Let me tell you something. Well, I don't want to go into all that. But anyway, brother, it's been great. I appreciate you.
Let me put one thing down before we leave, please.
You are one talking African. You are talking. Go ahead, keep talking. Go ahead.
There is something that you said, then I'll get off. You said that I was associating rich upper income Africans with
you can't compare poor Black people in America to successful. You're a successful African. That's how you got here. You came over here, you got money, you're able to go to school. You can't compare yourself to some poor old boy who went to Texas, Arlington. That's not a fair comparison. You see what I'm saying?
The reason why I said that, I use that as an example because I use it against some Nigerians and say, hey, you have never been through what this guy has been through.
Right.
Now, Georgia. So that's what I was trying to do. I wasn't saying that, I was condemning this person. I was saying that I use that as a point of contact to address the Nigerian guy and say, hey, if you've never been in this person's shoe, you can't condemn them or say that what they are doing or what they are going through is bad. Why you haven't been there? So don't do that. So that's what I was trying to do.
And that's fair. I appreciate that. But and that, I'm glad you checked them on that. Now, we need more Africans checking Nigerians and other Africans, not just Nigerians, because it's not just Nigerians. It's Jamaicans and a lot of different people from the diaspora. And they say these mean things to us, and then we expect just to hold that. And so Black Americans are like, nah, we're tired. And instead of fighting with you all, we're just going to delineate. You see what I mean? Especially considering the fact that oftentimes when Nigerians do well for themselves, they say, oh, he's Nigerian. He got accepted to 12 universities, the elite colleges. Oh, but when somebody gets caught scamming, oh, he's Black. You see what I'm saying? So we inherit the bad stuff and y'all keep the good stuff. That's what I call flat Blackness. When it's something bad, we all Black. When it's something good, somebody wins a 100-yard dash, oh, we're Jamaican. When somebody finds a cure for cancer, he's Nigerian. He's one of us. So that's another issue. But look,
when the son is good,
you are one talking. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You
when
want
the
to
son
talk?
is good,
You
it's the
want to
father. When
talk?
the son is bad, it's the mother, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I
You
got
talk.
you.
Okay. I appreciate you. Welcome back
You're
anytime.
welcome,
Thank
sir.
you so much for your time,
You're
and I
welcome.
appreciate you. Give you the hand clap. Thank you so much. All righty, Ken. All right. You can talk. You are one talking black man. But go ahead. I'll see you later. All right, all right, all right. Praise Moses. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yes, Uncle D had a great Uncle D is friendly with everybody. I'm glad the gentleman came in. We're going to get back to the broadcast. I don't want to be here I had planned not to be here past 2 hours and 30 minutes. But I definitely thought that was a good exchange. Thank you, Mr. Ken. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. You're so kind. I will do this from time to time and let folk come in. But again, I wanted to kind of get back to the conversation about cultural racism versus individual bigotry, because I often hear white people say, well, black people are racist too. And I go along with, yeah, we racist. But what I really mean is that we can be bigoted, okay? We are not culturally racist, okay? We are not tribal with our prejudice. It is not ingrained in us. You might have a few grandmas that had a few choice words for some people, but grandma typically call everybody the N-word. But again, when we talk about racism, it's important to separate an individual who's bigoted from a culture-wide issue, because they operate differently and on different levels. Folk who, individual people being racist, that's a person who basically is prejudiced or hostile, calls you the N-word, right? Because of your race or some other racial epithet. A person making a racist comment using a slur or acting mean to you or nasty to you, towards someone simply because they're of another color, that's different than cultural racism. See, that kind of racism is personal, is interpersonal, and it often is visible and is isolated in its interactions. Cultural racism, okay, that's embedded. That's in the values, that's in the norms, that's in the language, that's in the symbols, that's in the practices of the society, and certain groups are elevated and others are devalued without individuals even needing to consciously identify that they're racist. And a lot of the people who study this, they call it cultural racism. Okay, it's when inequality is normalized and superiority of one group or another is expressed through language, media, shared cultural practices, rather than just, as far as an individual and his behavior, okay? And one clear example of that is white supremacy in the United States. That's cultural, you understand? It's part of the ethos here. It's the cultural norms. You hear it on the media, way we represent it, economic systems, redlining, and these sort of things. It reinforces this superiority of whiteness, long after the end of slavery is over, you see? And segregation, these hierarchies are persistent. Another thing that we see in the Latin community is called blanqueamiento, which means lighten the race, okay? And this is a social, ideological emerging that came about from colonial histories, where the lighter skinned people are valued more than the dark skinned people. And in a lot of these countries, it's manifested as a social pressure to whiten through marriage, through assimilation. And we talked about assimilation yesterday, reinforcing racial hierarchies at a cultural level rather than through explicit law. It's just done socially. That is the type of racism that is so embedded that you can't get away from it, okay? Now contrast that with somebody calling you the N-word from a pickup truck, okay? That's a different vibe. You understand what I'm saying? So the underlying context shapes what kind of behaviors and language. It shapes the beauty standards, the marriage norms, the status markers. Oh, you married light. Oh, yeah, you got, these things become the background noise of the culture rather than isolated moments, somebody calling you the N-word. In other words, an individual racism is a person acting on prejudice and bigotry. Cultural racism is the collective environment that tells people what is normal and desirable or inferior as in a person in the environment can persist across generations, even when people claim not to be racist themselves. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I want to kind of talk about. Now, I need you guys to hit the #1 button and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We want to take the opportunity, and anybody who hadn't subscribed to the channel, I want y'all to subscribe to the channel. And again, you see, I'm not a big bad wolf. If you want to come up in here and you have a differing opinion, I'm gonna let you speak. There was a time when I used to cut people off, but you know, I just let people talk now. I want to hear what they had to say. So I want you guys, if you feel comfortable enough, you want to come in and chop it up with me. I got time to take maybe one more caller. You're welcome to come in. We can chop it up. The link should be in the chat room still. And you're welcome to come in, but I'm not going to be here all night playing with y'all. Y'all had me in here to like 4:30. 4 hours and 30 minutes, and I ain't doing it again, okay? But if you want to come in and chop it up with me for a minute, you're welcome to come in and we can talk about IShowSpeed. We can talk about some of the videos that I've done, what you like, what you didn't like, and that'll be cool. You know, I'm okay with that. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. Take the opportunity and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, hit the #1 button. Also, make sure you hit the bell icon so you can put yourself on notice. Okay, make sure you hit the bell icon so you can put yourself on notice when I do these videos. I've been going strong. It's Black History Month. I got to give y'all some Black history, but right now I'm kind of just giving you guys some understanding because I want you to understand, you know, kind of what's going on in the world when we talk about, when people say, oh, black people are racist. Like, no, black people are not racist, but they can be individually prejudiced. Okay, on an individual level, they can be prejudiced. Okay, but culturally speaking, we don't have a culture that is racist. Okay, we don't ostracize people because of, you know, the color of their skin. You know, we don't do that. Now, it might be some people that just don't like you and, you know, or just don't like certain people from whatever group, but that ain't what we do, okay? And that's the difference between us, and that's kind of what I wanted to get straight, because now we got them. Shout out to Black by Design, because now we got a lot of people saying, well, black people are racist too, and they're going to use that to try to justify, you know, giving us that treatment. You see what I'm saying? And I just want to make sure you all understand the difference between being a person, your grandma or your granddaddy, cussing out the Latino neighbors, right, and calling people to all sort of epithets, and a person that is straight up from a culture like that North African culture that IShowSpeed had to deal with. Shout out to who else? We got somebody else that just came through. Shout out to Black by Design. So again, when discussing racism in Arab North African societies, it's important to separate single acts of prejudice from deeper cultural patterns. And again, y'all remember why we're here. I put this video up, IShowSpeed, this young man, he went over there and they were really disrespectful to him. I'll let this play.
50 million YouTube subscribers, globally recognized and celebrated influencer Darren Jason Watkins Jr., aka IShowSpeed, chose to travel across Africa. Speed visited Nigeria, Angola, Kenya, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Mozambique, South Africa, and more. He was embraced everywhere. Young African boys were in tears as they rushed to hug him. Speed was celebrated and embraced across East, West, and Southern Africa. But at times, his treatment in Arab Islamic North Africa, Egypt, Morocco, and especially Algeria was very different. He saw up close and personal the hatred and racism towards Black Africans, including African Americans. In the streets, Speed was met with racial slurs and other derogatory phrases. He attended a soccer match between Nigeria and Algeria, AFCON. Speed and his team were met with more racial slurs and physical objects were thrown at them. The atmosphere got so tense, they had to leave early, needing extra security to do so. Shout out to Senegal for winning the championship. Yes, sports fans around the world can get loud and violent. But Speed was attacked as a black man in a land where black men and women are bought and sold. Imagine how viral these videos would be if this were Europe.
Okay. So you got to get the point. That's kind of where this started. Now, again, when we talk about Arab North African societies, it's important to separate the single acts of prejudice from deeper cultural patterns. An insult from one person is not the same as long-standing systems of ideas that shape how people understand race and value different groups. See, across those parts of North Africa, okay, the scholars, the human rights organizations, it's documented. They practice rampant anti-black discrimination. And it goes way beyond an individual level. Now, an individual can be racist, but they're cultural. This is what I mean. And so in some cases, it reflects a social hierarchy that's existed for centuries, okay? One area where this appears in language, all right, in several Arabic dialects, okay? They've got certain words that are linked to servitude or lower status. They've been used to describe dark-skinned black people. In linguistics, and I believe the word is Habib, and the linguists have explained that language can carry old social beliefs in regions shaped by the trans-Saharan slave trade. Black people sometimes became associated with the lower social position, okay? And that's most of the time. And when everyday words reflect these assumptions, it suggests that the hierarchy is cultural, not just personal. And see, the bias is built into the way people speak, okay? Attitudes towards sub-Saharan Africans show how cultural narratives influence discrimination. You understand? And in countries like Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, where this young brother was, black people have been portrayed as the source of crime and instability. You see what I mean? They don't compare themselves to the rich, successful Africans. They compare themselves to the poor Africans who are coming up there. You understand? Kind of the same thing the brother Akeem was doing. You compare yourself to some poor people who are waiting for their refund check. They try to get that refund check, man. They got to pay that bill. And as opposed to compare yourself to successful black Americans, okay? And that's, people look for what they want. It's called confirmation bias. You want to believe this already, so you look for things to compare it to. And see, that's what black Americans are saying. Y'all been told by these white folk that black Americans are poor, ignorant, and don't want to work hard. So when you get here to the United States, you look for those people that are poor and don't have money, and you just make the worst. You don't compare yourself to folk like me. You know, you don't do that. Compare yourself to people like my sons, and I'm not speaking ill of anybody in particular, but we might make you feel bad when you see, wow, God, they living real good. You see what I mean? So that's the other thing you need to understand. Now, of course, you know, nobody will ever admit that, but that's how that goes. Now, let's get back to where I was at. Now, again, they blame the black people for everything. The black people have all the negative stereotypes and these racist cultural, because that the culture tells them that there's something pathologically wrong with these people. So they're always looking for a reason to blame the black people. Even right now here in America, black people only occupy about 10 major cities in America, or we live around about 10 major cities. And I don't want y'all yelling at me. I know it's more than 10 cities that we live in. I said 10 major cities, okay? We only occupy about 10 major cities. Y'all heard Dr. Claude Anderson say the same thing. We only occupy about 10 major cities, and yet we get blamed for crimes that's happened in Utah. Remember that boy got shot in the neck up in Utah? What makes you think there's any black people up there? Was it Iowa or Utah? Where did he get shot at? You know who I'm talking about. Was it Iowa or Utah that he got shot at? Okay? But the bottom line is, the governor, I think it was Utah, he was praying. We were hoping it was someone that didn't look like us, right? And you know, man, it was not us, and they was like, oh, disappointed. You see what I mean? Because they want to be able to stereotype us. Utah, that's exactly it. And so, sociology described this process as cultural racism. Okay. All right, this is what this is. All right, and in Algeria, minority rights advocates, they say, the challenges faced by Black Algerians whose families trace their ancestry to sub-Saharan Africa, they have all these issues, and their reports to describe experiences of they'd be excluded. This is in Africa. You got Africans dealing with racism from the Arab, the remnants of the Arab Caliphate, the Islamic Caliphate right now. Okay? National identity is connected mostly to light-skinned people. No different. When I say the word American, you don't typically think about Black people. You think about white people because the national identity of America is white. Dark-skinned people over there, and now we're going to go back to Algeria, dark-skinned people, they get pushed to the margins, okay? This doesn't mean that each and every Algerian is a bigot or a racist, but it suggests historical ideas about ancestry and color still influence how, who belongs and who doesn't right now. Shout out to Black by Design, okay? And Tunisia offers, if you look at some of the examples over there, right? They told them, hey, these sub-Saharan Africans are about to replace us. And what followed that was a bunch of violence. That was in 2023. And they just specifically randomly target Black migrants and students. And a lot of people said these anti-Black attitudes already been present there in that society, and it only is strengthened through the rhetoric. And so when you have people like Nick Fuentes kicking up all this dust, saying all these crazy things, it just makes things worse. Because see, the quick spread of hostility suggests that these folk were not new to it. This is what happened in Tunisia in 2023. They were ready for it. They want to hear that. It's cultural racism. And it becomes more visible when the leaders use language that makes prejudice seem acceptable. And whether you like Donald Trump or not, clearly he says prejudiced things, and whether you voted for him or not, and, whatever. Okay, the bottom line is he's throwing out, we call them dog whistles here in America. But the bottom line is make the environment hot, okay? And colorism also plays a role across these North African states, countries, right? The same as in the broader Arab world, okay? And, people say that there's a preference for light skin in advertising and marriage choices and beauty standards. And it's the same thing you see happening in places like South America with that blanqueamiento ideology. And also it happens in parts of Asia. All right, light skin is widely seen as more attractive and has higher status. And it can create advantages in social mobility and opportunity. And over time, these preferences form cultural patterns, and they're not just, so that's how it gets rooted, you see? I want y'all to understand that, okay? And of course, we have these religious principles and cultural practices are not the same, okay? Now look, none of this means that every individual in North Africa holds racist beliefs, all right? And it doesn't mean that the Islamic teachings require a person to be, to adhere to a racial hierarchy, but these religious principles and these cultural practices aren't the same everywhere. People have interpretations, all right? And historically, things like the trans-Saharan slave trade and the regional empires, they left some legacies of cultural racism, okay? It exists quietly. There are habits, there's expectations, there's assumptions about who belongs and who is the other. And understanding this different matters because individual racism is when a person acts on prejudice, and cultural racism is when a bias is woven into the language, the beauty standards, the social status, the public narrative. It's less obvious than the direct insult, but it's stronger and lasts longer. And the impact on Black people in society is worse. So let's bring this on home. When I'm talking about IShowSpeed and his experience in Algeria, the main question is not whether one person in the stadium behaved badly. The bigger issue is whether the hostility he faced was just one person's actions or part of a larger social attitude. And so in videos from the live stream, the man had objects thrown at him, chants were aimed at him, and the mood changed from fun to hostile. And if it had only been one drunk fan causing trouble, right, that would have been clearly an individual prejudice. But when a whole crowd joins in, or when the bad behavior seems accepted, people start to wonder if something deeper is going on. Now, I don't have to wonder, and you all shouldn't have to wonder either, okay? All right, because we talked about this the other day, okay? All right? You understand? We talked about this. North African countries, including Algeria, have complex racial histories. These histories include Arabization, European colonialism, and centuries of the trans-Saharan slave trade, all right, that involved African bodies, okay? Dark people, dark Africans, including migrants and black Algerians, and as you see, a black American boy face serious racial stigma. And, you know, again, this doesn't mean that all of them are racist. However, it does show that these ideas linked to skin color and social status didn't pop out of nowhere. They've been there for a minute, right? And so when you have someone like IShowSpeed, a dark-skinned or brown-skinned black American young man, he enters the setting, those past attitudes may shape how some people react, as you saw. And it also helps to compare his experience in different places. Just 500 miles, 1,000 miles to the south, he was treated like a king. And in West African countries, Ghana, Nigeria, IShowSpeed was welcomed warmly. You know, there's his skin tone, identity connected him to the local population. I love seeing that. You see what I'm saying? He's seen part of the shared African identity. And in Nigeria, the national identity is Arab. You see what I'm saying? And in the context of darker skinned Africans have sometimes been viewed as outsiders and migrants. And I say sometimes as like really all the time. And, you know, if a crowd reacts negatively to a black visitor in a way that matches patterns already reported by advocacy groups and observers, well, hell, you know, if the shoe fits, wear it. This is not one bad person. This is where the difference between an individual racist and a cultural racist group of people becomes important. Individual racism is one person. All right, cultural racism is this is what we do. This is in the air. This is what we breathe over here. This is common as a sidewalk. You got open public hostility. You see? And look, I want y'all to hear me. That don't mean everybody in the crowd hates you, but damn, it's the culture. It means that they have certain beliefs about skin color, and the disrespect is going to be common, and there's not going to be anybody to check them on it. You see? I want y'all to feel me on that. But I mean, just look at but compare the warm reception that he got with the people, the sub-Saharan Africans, versus what he got from those Arabs up there. These are social hierarchies built over centuries, and they don't disappear. And they continue with the jokes, the stereotypes, the reactions. And what made Speed's experience stand out was the contrast. In some parts of Africa, he was celebrated and loved as part of the community. And in the other parts, not at all. You see? And that's what I need y'all to understand. So here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity to read these super chats, cash apps, and PayPals. I'm glad at least 27 people learned something tonight. I thank you all for learning something. I'm not going to, I got a little bit more to say, okay? And I want you guys to, I got to get out of it. We already went past the time I'm trying to go past. I want to try to get out of here. So I'm not going to take any more guests tonight because I don't want to delay this any further. But I do want to make sure I acknowledge the people who contributed to the super chat. Shout out to Demata. Thank you so much. You earned it. Patricia Hightower, thank you. Juanita Walker, thank you. Did I do a good job addressing the African brother and his statements. If you all feel like I did a good job addressing what he said, let me know. Okay, let me know if I did a good job. I try to be, I'm respectful. You come to my platform, Uncle D is the host of hosts. I'm gonna treat you with respect. I'm not gonna disrespect anybody. I appreciate the courage. Okay, and anybody else who wants to come in, we have what we'll call it open mic night. You're welcome to come in. But again, tonight I want to kind of just wrap things up. I know I got about 8 or 9 people who want to come in, but I'm gonna just read these super chats and then close this thing on out. So big shout out to Eskimo Black for last night's broadcast. It was very informal and your work is truly appreciated. Could also please link books for us to read future broadcasts. I'll do that next time. Big truck driver checking from Greenwood, Mississippi. By way of Topeka, Kansas, shout out to the chat. What's up, man? Thank you so much. Black by Design, thank you for the $5 super sticker. We learned that the Arabs started the whole thing from the Hidden Colors documentary. Wow, okay, I'm gonna have to check that. I think I saw one of those. I don't think I saw them all. Faquan, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker again, Faquan, DTM. And then also, we never hated Africa. We sure didn't. We called each other African booty scratcher when there was no Africans around. But that was in the 70s and the 80s. Right, they're still talking about that. Yeah, that wasn't even our generation. That was the generation that came before us. They talk about people that, they weren't even here when that was happening. You see what I'm saying? So they just kind of making it up. Shout out to Black by Design. 92 was my second year in the Navy. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for your service. Fuquan, $5 super sticker. Black by Design. I heard about these women. They don't use water. That clay preserves them forever. Wow, that's dope. That's the Hema women. The Fuquan, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Also, Black by Design says, like Dr. John Henry Clark said, you have no friends. You want a friend. Look in the mirror. Fuquan, thank you for the $5. We got with 27 super. Can I get 3 more? Did 3 more people learn? Remember, you don't owe me anything. If you learn something, I should earn something. But is there at least 3 more? It'd be 30. It'd be great. But if I didn't do a good job, don't give me a dime. I'm just gonna tell y'all that now. Don't give me a dime if I didn't do a good job. But I do need y'all to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna need y'all to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I know we don't have 1,000 people in here tonight, but we got enough. So I need y'all to hit that subscribe button and hit that subscribe button now. Let me know you are in here, and I want y'all to hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the subscribe button and let me know you are in here right now, okay? Go ahead and do that. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button right now. All right, let's make sure everybody is fully subscribed and we are all in these streets, okay? These YouTube streets. Let's see what we got here. I want to make sure before I finish these super chats. All right. Okay, I need 50 people to subscribe to the channel, and that'll get us to 142 people will get us to 93,000. All right, so I need 142 people. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. Storyteller, thank you for the super sticker. Red Sigma, FBA all day, good looking out. Black by Design, good looking out. He says, but when the Arabs were all black, they did the same thing they're doing today, enslaving black. Right, in the name of Islam. That's what I was talking about. Remember, Mansa Musa had slaves. And he was a Mali king. The thing is, all Africa is tribal, way too many tribes. When FBA tribals, we're still on one accord. Thank you so much. The thing is, let me see here, Black by Design. The thing is, we wouldn't come to your country and tell you how your people and your country. That's exactly right. That's a good point. Trill Team 6, Nigeria has oil seeping out of the ground, but they pay China man to refine it for them. Cut the cap, get your corruption under control, then get money. There you go. Good looking out. I appreciate that. What's it going to take to get away from these Africans? We're not Africans. Thank you so much, brother. So if you're from Nigeria, why are you here? And see, that's the question. I didn't even ask that. But that's a lot of black people have that problem. You're so good over there, why don't you go back? That's what a lot of black people say. Trill Team 6, they should have dozens of refineries until I can go to Africa to work, get money, and come back to America to visit family, and African can't tell me nothing. Good point. Yeah, black people can't do that. Africans only come to eat off our plate and steal accomplishments. Again, Black by Design. Again, why is it that you can come here and talk bad about FBA and we can't come to Nigeria and do the same? What are you talking about? See, that's the disrespect. Black by Design. This was a good chat. Shout out to everybody. Thank you so much, Black by Design. And shout out to Greenwood, Mississippi. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Black by Design. Sorry, Mr. Spurling. I got to crank up in big truck. Okay, 8 a.m. Peace chat. Hey, man, thank you so much for, you are the MVP of this broadcast. Good looking out, brother. Black by Design came through heavy. Good job, D. The manipulation tactics are outlandish, but these folks assimilate into FBA history and hilarious, and they blame us for the delineation. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate what you did. So, all right, so let's go ahead and try to wrap this thing up. Did I do a good job? Did I represent us well? Did I explain our position and largely how we feel? If you guys like what I did, then let me know. I appreciate it if you guys would let me know you appreciate what I did tonight. And I think I did. I'm very respectful. I didn't cut the brother off. You know, I let him talk. But anyway, family, let's go ahead and get this thing out of here. Look. Let me say something clearly before I go any further. And this is not an attack on interracial relationships. Okay, in 2026, people date who they want to. Okay, and people love who they love. And if you found someone you care about, Godspeed to you. I genuinely wish you well. Okay, but when I give advice publicly, I have to speak in general principles, not exceptions. And here's the general principle. Okay. Marriage is not just between two people. It's about culture, okay? It's about family. It's about the environment your children will be raised in. And that's who I'm talking to right now. I want to talk to people who want to have kids and who want to be in relationships, all right? Relationships are already hard enough. And when you add in cultural differences around race, status, and social hierarchy, you're adding another layer that most people underestimate. See, here's the real problem. If you marry into a family or a culture where the color hierarchy or racial superiority has historically been normalized, even subtly, that doesn't just disappear because one person says, I'm not a racist. Okay, we talked about culture. We talk about culture on this page a lot, don't we? Because they was telling us we didn't have one, and that's why I felt the need to explain all the reasons why we do. Okay. Now, again, culture is a deeper belief, deeper than individual belief. Culture shows up in jokes, shows up in beauty standards, shows up in marriage preferences and comments from grandparents and uncles, right? Who's considered acceptable, okay? All right. Culture shows up in how dark features are discussed. You can't change someone's culture just because you marry them and you love them. And that's how they were raised. That's how they were raised. You understand? And that's the water they swam in their whole life. Even if your wife or your husband personally rejects prejudice, extended family and social circles may not. Now think about your children. If you have children who is half of you and half of someone else from another culture, that historically places values on lighter skin or proximity to whiteness. What messages will that child absorb? Not necessarily overt hostility, but these subtle signals. You got darker in the summer, right? Your hair is difficult. I know many of you ladies have heard that. You'd be prettier if you were lighter, right? At least you have good features. And see, kids internalize tone long before they understand words. If part of that identity is constantly being ranked, even subtly, they will feel it. And the goal of raising children is to produce healthy, functional adults with stable self-esteem. Why voluntarily introduce cultural tension around identity if you don't have to? That's not racism, okay? That's risk management, all right? And that's why my preference for you, and I'm clear, I say this all the time, is that black men and black women strongly considering marrying within the African diaspora. Again, that brother who came up here early, he's an African man. He married a black woman from California. I like him already. If you are African or you're a Caribbean and you married a black person here in the United States, you already got a +1 with me. You understand? Because that means you vested. You have children here now. I'm cool with that. You know? But the African diaspora, Caribbean, West African, Afro-Latino, foundational Black American, East African, Afro-European. Why? Why do I say that's a good idea? Because there's a shared historical experience. It reduces the friction around identity. It doesn't eliminate problems. Marriage is hard no matter what. But it removes one major pressure point, and that's that racial hierarchy inside the household. And now again, that's my general advice. Okay, there are plenty of interracial couples out there who build strong, loving families. Okay, I support that 100%. Don't mess around. You got a good woman who loves you and she treats you well and she's respectful to you. Shit, Dr. Umar be down. Okay, you'll be fooled not to deal with that woman. Same thing go for you ladies. You got a good man that loves you. He treats you well. He's respectful. He's a good provider. You need to go ahead and lock that down, baby. You see? But here's the thing. You have to go into it aware and not naive. If you marry into a culture where your race has historically been ranked lower in the social hierarchy, you need to be honest about that. Because remember, we talk about cultural racism, not individual bigotry. He might like you, but his culture, you're not going to get away from that. So relationships, again, they're already difficult enough without one partner subconsciously carrying social superiority, even if they don't articulate it. And let's be real, social hierarchy exists globally. Everybody understands it. Whether we're talking about white, black, Asian, black, Arab, black, Latino, black, there are societies where color ranking is historically mattered. You cannot pretend that disappears at the altar. And see, this is not about hate. It's about awareness. It's about protecting children from identity confusion, internalized inferiority. It's about understanding that love does not erase culture. Culture is durable. And so before you bring children into the world, you need to ask, what environment will shape their self-worth? And see, that's not racism, that's responsibility. And I say all that to say, IShowSpeed shows something that that we should know, but we don't know, that racism is everywhere. And that, you know, just because you go to these other countries and you meet people, this is the men and the women, that does not mean that those people are compatibly culturally with you, okay? And that's the thing. And, you know, the other thing is moving everywhere, because it's not just about romantic relationships. Why would you want to live in a country where they treat black people that bad? You understand what I'm saying? Again, love who you love. I'm happy if you find somebody beautiful that cares about you and loves you. I want you to be loved. I want somebody to love you. I want you to have somebody to curl up with, talk nice to you, be cool with you. When you turn the lights out, everybody's the same color anyway. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? I'm happy for you, but I just wanted to have this conversation. I thought it was important. Well, anyway, you guys, I love you all. I appreciate everybody. Shout out to everybody who came through with the Cash Apps. Angela, Deemada, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. You all have been tremendously wonderful this evening. I certainly appreciate the time you spent with me on this late evening. Shout out to all the truck drivers and the hardworking folk and all the people right now that sleep with their phone on their head like this because they done fell asleep and their face is sweaty listening to me, or you got your earplugs in your ear, man. I'm going to let y'all go. This is Uncle D, the long-winded Uncle D, that's been here for 3 hours and 24 minutes when I plan to be out of here in an hour and a half. God bless y'all. Love y'all, as I always say at this time. I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast. hit the like button, subscribe.